Last time on Square Roots, Cloud learns that he can't go home again, Tifa climbs a mountain, and Sephiroth isn't such a bad guy. Later, Cloud's mom gets even hotter. Talk about a milb. It's a mom I'd like to burn.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I'm joined by Matthew Van Zant.
Hey yo! To all of our listeners, I just want to apologize. We really beefed it last week. We fucked up. We spent the whole episode calling Sephiroth Slutterroth when Sexy Roth was right there. I'm embarrassed.
Good catch. Also joined by The Nasty.
I'm Finasty. That name's sticking, I guess.
Yeah. So.
John cannot be with us today. He has the worst case of diarrhea in Canadian history.
Yeah, thank God. Honestly. USA, right? All-American show.
I heard that it was going to contribute to some, rehydration after their dry summer, so it's kind of a good thing for the BC area that he's just fertilizing the forest.
Did you just
showering
dox John?
Them with diarrhea?
I don't think it's a secret that John lives in Vancouver.
Here's a secret. Jim's shirt says Midwest Emo.
It does.
Oh my God.
It does. That's
embarrassing. Tell me you owned that before you moved to the Midwest. Please.
I mean, I listened to Midwest Emo before I moved to the Midwest.
Oh my God.
It just looks like you're labeling yourself. And
that's true. I sent this to my daughter earlier, and she's like, yeah, that tracks.
You're a 40-year-old man.
I'm not 40 yet.
You can't call yourself emo. It's illegal.
I'm in my mid-30s.
You're in your late 30s, bud.
He's got the black hair. He's got the long bangs. He does
have the
eyeliner.
long bangs. Oh, his fingernails are painted black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. There's a My Chemical Romance poster behind him.
Mm-hmm. And he has all of those wristbands and bracelets and things like that.
Oh, you've got one of those
leather
that
says Ohio is for lovers.
You've got one of those chunky leather band watches. Those things were
so
lame.
I had 3 different ones when I was in college.
Well, I wouldn't admit to that in public, but I guess
I had a bunch of
Midwest
those.
emo.
I had a bunch of those. I'm wearing this. This is for the genre, not as a personal label.
I'm going to get a shirt that just says Fat Nerd, and everybody's going to know.
That's basically what this one says.
I like music and I like corn.
All right, guys. Well, this is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs, one chunker at a time. This is part 2 of our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth series.
That's not a classic RPG.
It is. It is now.
Brand spanking new RPG.
Instant classic.
This is gonna be a tough season because Jim is. It's gonna kind of be like last season where John was really into Bayonetta and I wasn't, and now this is gonna be Jim who's really into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'm like, yeah, it's all right.
I don't hate Jim's gonna be the only one who's really into it.
Wow, I don't hate it. Vanessa's digging it. Vanasty's digging it.
She's high on meds. Her opinion cannot be trusted.
I am not anymore. But I was when I started this game, so take that with a grain of salt.
I will say, Matt, the game only gets better as it goes, so you're in for some treats.
I'm exaggerating. I as I was telling Jim on our hot new stream, Square Roots Versus last night, I am very hooked on this game. I've been playing it in all of my off time.
Speaking of the stream, it's a stream that Matt and I do on YouTube where apparently we play Final Fantasy VI forever.
Jim wanted to finish it so bad last week, and we just couldn't do it.
At least one more chunker on there. Yeah, check us out every Wednesday evening, starting at about 8 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
we go live on YouTube and play some old RPGs. It's a fun
Next
time.
up, Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trig.
Look, I'm really looking forward to not being the person that's playing the game.
I'm looking forward to playing Chrono Trigger because I've played that game so many times. I feel like I know where to go without having to guess too much. So it'd be an easy play.
Yeah.
Well, guys, before we start talking about all that sweet Final Fantasy VII Rebirth open world goodness, does anybody have any hot gaming news?
Yeah, I think we have a couple.
Vanasti does.
Yeah. Let's see. It says here in the notes 17. So what 17 is about is it's actually called Series 17, and I think it dropped tonight as we're recording, so you should be able to find it at the time that this episode comes out. You just want to go to YouTube, type in Taskmaster, and you'll be able to watch Taskmaster Series 17.
That's not gaming news.
It's a game.
It's a game. It is a game.
Not in the context in which we operate.
Well, they're also still working on developing their virtual reality game.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a real blockbuster.
It is. And here's some hot gaming news about that. It has a create your own task mode. So not only can you play the tasks and be judged by virtual Greg Davies, who you love, by the way, Jim, you can also make your own tasks.
I mean, love is a strong word. Maybe appreciate, admire.
We all admire him. I mean, how can you not?
Pretty easily.
And, of course, the other hot news from that genre is they did a Taskmaster live show in New York City, and the venue oversold it by, at least 25 tickets, and people were turned away at the door, heartbroken. And let me tell you, speaking of broken, if I hadn't broken my ankle, that could have been me. I would have been there for that show.
Yeah, wow, imagine how devastated you would have been to not be able to get into the venue.
Oh, she would have been there 5 hours early and been first in line.
I never would have recovered. I did hear that for the people who did get in, it was very crowded and uncomfortable. Oh. Nevertheless, sometimes you have to suffer for love.
That's what they want you to think.
It's a weird thing to say about a television show.
You know what? I don't judge you and your little baseball thing, so there's no reason for you to be judging me about my television show.
You mean America's pastime?
You absolutely judge the fuck out of me for it. You have nothing but negative things to say anytime I'm remotely trying to talk about baseball.
That's not true. I try to be really enthusiastic. I talk about how the Mariners are going to go all the way this year, and you just smack me down every time.
Really sarcastic.
And there's also another piece of hot gaming news, which I'll let Matt take the lead on after I say I do not like the male to female character playable ratio in this game. Matt, tell us about the game.
Feels like you could have waited until I talked about it before you said that.
I want to start it with my rampaging feminism and just sour anything else that you might have to say about it.
I have nothing positive to say. Marvel released a trailer for a new game that they are putting out called, I don't remember the fucking name. Anybody remember?
Marvel Overwatch.
Yeah, Marvel Overwatch. It's a new 6 versus 6
online
shooter.
Rivals? Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivalry?
Yes, I think you got it. I think it's Marvel Rivals. They released a trailer for Marvel Rivals. It is a 6 versus 6 online shooter a la Overwatch, where you play as Marvel characters. It looks like trash. And as somebody very succinctly put it in our Facebook group, I already don't play Overwatch, so this is an easy game to not play.
This is what I would refer to as a cash grab. Looks like a cash grab.
Well, I thought so too, but then I watched the trailer and I was really excited to see Iron Man using his famous catchphrase, "It's nano time." So, I feel like they really captured the characters.
They really ruined Iron Man with that nanotechnology shit. It looks bad. It has a pretty interesting cast of characters, though. It's not all MCU tie-ins. There are characters like Magic and Storm and Magneto. Maybe it's future MCU tie-in. I don't know.
And
yeah.
Joey Snow.
Yeah, what was it? Luna Snow, which I personally, when you're naming a character, I don't think it's okay to do like two objects as the name, okay? That's like Wrench Cheeseburger. Like, calm down. Pick one.
Wrench Cheeseburger's a pretty good name, though.
Or the first name is Wrench. It's one or the other. Luna Snow. Get out of here. It doesn't look very good, but Vanessa's angry that there are only 6 women and there are 12 men. You got Doctor Strange, you got Iron Man, you got Hulk, you got Punisher, apparently. You have Storm and Magic and Luna Snow and Scarlet Witch and a cast of others. I did see a lot of the worst people on Earth, the absolute pits of humanity complaining because the trailer showed Galactica, that is Galactus's daughter. And so, of course, morons who don't know anything about Marvel Comics were like, they made Galactus woke. Get the fuck out of here.
Who did Galactus have sex with in order to have a daughter?
That's a great question. I'm already not a fan of Galactus, so making Lady Galactus and putting her in a one-piece bikini instead of a suit or whatever is even worse. I don't like it. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying anybody who uses the word woke, you can't listen. Like, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. It makes me go static brain. Like, all I hear is that noise when you turn out the TV to channel 3.
That's a Marvel Comics thing, Galactica. I'm not a fan, Vanessa, but it is.
That's an analogy
really
that kids today would not understand.
I would think that Galactus would have to have had sex with, like, Ego the Living Planet to have a child. That's the only
giants exist.
I can think of.
Frost giants are a thing. Celestials are a thing.
It's true, Celestials.
Is Galactus bigger than a frost giant? I don't know. His size is very dependent on who's drawing it. I was thinking about it today. Galactus is a very silly character design. Like, for a 60s comic book, sure. But the fact that it's still just a really big man in a Pope hat is kind of strange. And also, Galactica, who, again, is in basically a one-piece bikini, and so you can see a lot of skin, really begs the question of what is under Galactus's outfit. Like, is there a giant hanging dong under there? When Galactus is standing over a planet about to eat it, do people look up and see the outline of his dick in his pants? Because
that's how you know Galactus.
More terrifying.
You see a penis shape like start to block out the sun, like a mushroom head,
like an Austin Powers bit,
eclipse the sun.
Shitty Marvel game. That's our hot gaming news for the week. I don't think we have anything else to talk about.
No. I don't think so either. Well, you let us know today, Matt, that Embracer has sold Gearbox to Take-Two Interactive, which doesn't necessarily include all their franchises.
It does not.
I think it includes Borderlands and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and maybe one or two others, but I think they're keeping the rest of the IPs.
Why do they want to keep any of it when
they have games coming out for a few of those IPs? So they're selling.
They can license them to other developers for money.
Yeah, they're selling. I think they're selling everything that's not in development. They didn't say that, but that's what I think.
Yeah,
I
that's what it seems like to me. Yeah.
Some games coming out that they're not willing to give up the franchise, because what if it's a hit? It won't be, because it's made by the Embracer Group, so it'll be a huge piece of shit. But what if?
I don't know about this venture capitalism, guys. I'm just
Yeah,
not
no, it
seeing
seems
how it's working
bad.
for me.
Seems not
Yeah.
good. All right. Well,
We hot gamed.
yep. What happens next, host?
Think we level up next.
Great.
You know what? I'm going to go first because I did a bunch of stuff. And it all took place in a movie theater.
Yeah, you saw too many movies.
I saw a bunch of movies over the last week. I saw Late Night with the Devil, starring David Dastmalchian. It was pretty good. I like the 70s aesthetic a lot. It has a lot of... It feels like a lot of editing choices that kind of got in the way of the like flow of the movie a little bit. Like it kind of kept stepping on its own toes a little bit in terms of the editing, but I liked it a lot. I'm excited to watch it again when it's on. I think it's Shudder next month. So right now it's kind of a pretty good. It's a pretty good, not a great,
Would
but
you
a pretty good.
say that he was super dreamy, super cute, looked really good in it?
Actually, yeah. I will say that it's an excellent like starring vehicle for David Dastmalchian. He's excellent. He's the best part of that movie, hands down.
Fantastic.
He adds like kind of a... How did you phrase it, Vanessa, when you were telling us about his... You were kind of describing his appeal.
Off-puttingly charismatic or something like that?
Yes, yeah. That's like his whole vibe in that movie. Where it's like... He's a weird pick for a late night TV host, but also he's making it work, and he has this kind of allure to him, like a depth to him that kind of makes you pay attention.
That because 70s television hosts were all doofy looking weirdos.
That is a good point. Yeah.
I mean, if it was set in modern times, then yeah, it would be like, oh well, he's not like a square jawed handsome dude. Or Sydney Sweeney, so obviously that's not going to work. But in the 70s, come on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In the 70s, you still had people transitioning from radio onto television who were like,
Tom
Selleck was a sex
and
icon.
actually, that is the backstory for his character. He was a popular radio? Yeah, he was a popular radio host who made a transition into television, and he hosts like this late night talk show called Night Owls.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
you know
it's
who I used to think had the same kind of appeal that he does? Cillian Murphy, and now he has an Oscar. So keep your eye on David Dastmalchian. Yeah. He was also in Oppenheimer, incidentally.
Yeah, his star is rising. He's a good actor. But the movie kind of got in trouble a little bit before release because the directors of the film did use AI art for some interstitials in the movie, and goddamn, those things stick out like a sore thumb, and they're totally unnecessary. So the way the movie works is like when you're watching what's going on the show, it's set up to be like you're watching a broadcast of this TV show, like you're watching the master tape of the broadcast. But between segments, it cuts to like black and white, and you're seeing like the behind the scenes of the show where you see like David talking to his producer and him talking to the guests and stuff like that. But in between the style shifts is where they put the interstitials. And it's like, you don't need that because this part of the movie's in color. This part of the movie's in black and white, shot entirely differently. And it's like they put those in. It feels like someone got nervous in the editing room and put those in to differentiate or like kind of ease you into the other style of filming. It's totally unnecessary. Don't need it at all.
It's also just unacceptable for a big budget movie or any budget movie really to be using AI art because it costs like $20 to commission a piece of digital art. It's not expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And they look like shit. Like, they look terrible. I saw another movie. It was called Immaculate, starring Sydney Sweeney. And I like that one a lot. Sydney Sweeney's like a big-time movie star now. And so usually when those big-time movie stars jump into horror movies...
Is she?
You don't really expect them to... Yeah, I think she is. She's kind of like... she was in that one movie with that guy from Top Gun. She was in Madam Web. Like, how much more prestige can you get? but like, man, she went after it. She was great in the movie. And you could tell like they gave her a lot to do and she nailed it. The movie is about a nun who, or like a woman who takes her vows and decides to be a nun at this convent in Italy that's for essentially like old nuns who are like dying. And she decides to serve at this convent and she gets pregnant in a quote unquote immaculate conception, but it's a sinister conception. It's very good. And the movie goes super hard. It's way gorier than I expected. Pretty bloody, some pretty shockingly violent moments in it. And I like, it's good. 2 thumbs up for that one. Usually religious horror is kind of hit or miss for me, but this one really, really landed. And the last movie I saw was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and that is a piece of trash.
Best movie on the list. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
No, it's not as blatantly manipulative as the first one. As the last one, Ghostbusters Afterlife, but...
Is there anything more embarrassing than the fact that was it Ivan Reitman? Is that his name?
Yeah, Ivan Reitman.
Directed that movie and then stuck his dead dad in there, like intentionally trying to twist our
that was
heartstrings.
Jason Reitman.
Jason Reitman. Ivan Reitman is the...
Ivan was the original. His dad. Yeah.
That was one of the grossest things I've ever seen in a movie. Like, it made me really uncomfortable.
Really bad. This one doesn't have anything quite like that. I mean, there's definitely callbacks to the first and second movies. But the movie feels like it was almost like written to be a TV show, but they made it into like a movie because there's a shitload of characters in it. I'm not exaggerating when I say in the finale, there are 12 Ghostbusters. I think I tried to remember today how many were in those scenes. 12 different Ghostbusters. In the finale of the movie. It feels kind of like an episode of the cartoon show where it's like a ghost of the week kind of thing, because there's just some kind of nothing ghost that they spend a lot of time explaining what his deal is. But yeah, I didn't like it. Kumail Nanjiani is really good in it. He plays a character in there that's really funny, but otherwise everyone seems like they're kind of sleepwalking through it.
How was James A. Caster?
Yeah, finest stand-up comic of his generation.
Just like I would say every role besides Dan Aykroyd and Kumail Nanjiani are just nothing roles. Like, everyone is just kind of farting out their lines, like, without a lot of emotion. James A. Caster, double that for him, because he delivers his lines, like, very quietly, and boringly. He's a boring character. I don't even remember his name. He's just a guy.
I haven't seen any of these new ones, but my impression is that Finn Wolfhard just kind of plays the same guy that he does in Stranger Things. I don't know if that's because they don't change his hair. Maybe I'm not being fair.
In the first one, he's kind of like an obnoxious teenage older brother character. In the second one, he's not doing anything. His whole character arc in the movie is, can I drive the car? And that's really all that he does.
I bet he gets to drive that car.
Kind of disappointing. Yeah, he drives the heck out of it. But even Paul Rudd is not really doing anything in the movie. Yeah, I didn't like it. It also features one of my least favorite movie tropes, which is Genius Kid. There's a genius kid who can just do... multiple genius kids who can just do everything. Like, they know everything about ghosts and spirits and know how to become ghosts. It doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
But yeah, that's how I leveled up. Vanessa, how did you level up?
Thanks for asking. I watched an Apple TV series called Silo. It's a little 10-episode sci-fi series. It doesn't really have an ending, but I think they're going to do a second season.
It sure takes them forever to do second seasons, though.
Yeah.
Severance season 2, anybody? Is that ever coming out?
I hope so. I would say that if you like Snowpiercer, you're probably going to like Silo, because it's a lot of the same thing.
Didn't you specifically tell us that Snowpiercer show was terrible?
Yeah, but there was a Snowpiercer movie as well.
Oh, yeah,
People
that movie's
liked
good as hell.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Silo has a very stacked cast. It stars Rebecca Ferguson,
So they have
who
big
you may
boobs?
know from the... I wouldn't say she has big boobs.
Sydney
She
Sweeney
has
is in it? Is that what
boobs.
you're trying to say?
No, it's Rebecca Ferguson from, the Mission Impossible movies.
Ooh, love her. And from Dune
and
2.
the Dune, it has Common. It has Tim Robbins. It's got lots of people in it. Good
Tim Robinson
cast.
from I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah, Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave. And basically whenever
We've
they're
all got to
having a
get in this
suspenseful-
silo!
Yeah.
I don't
No,
even
I
want to
don't
be
know.
in the silo anymore.
Yeah, he's like, this silo's a cash grab. Yeah, it's alright. Like, if you're into post-apocalyptic stuff, you'll probably like it, but I don't think you're going to see anything that you haven't seen before. And I think part of that is that the book was written in, 2011, so some of these tropes have been around for a while, and they probably sprung from that book series, too, so what are you gonna do? I also... it was a very good friend of the show, Julie's birthday this week. So she came over with another friend, and we celebrated her birthday in my room, because that is the one place I can go to. I can go to my room and the bathroom, so it was a choice between those two.
Yeah,
And-
that's not a function of your injury. That's part of your sentencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did send us a picture of the birthday cake that you had for Julie, and it was sitting on your toilet.
Yeah, it was sitting on a portable toilet that I have, which I thankfully have not needed to use as a toilet, but they did send me home with one from the hospital, just in case I...
You're using
didn't
it right
feel
now,
like I
aren't
could
you?
Make it. I'm using it as we podcast to hold my water bottle, because I have repurposed it as an end table.
More like Pottycast. Get it?
That was
Like
really
potty.
great, really good, and I'm
Thanks.
proud of you, and I
don't bite me.
think you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
I also, and I'm sure that this will transition into Matt's level up, watched that X-Men 97 cartoon.
Hey, I forgot to add that to my level ups, but sure, let's talk about it. What do you think? Did you watch the new one?
No, I only watched the first two. I thought they were okay.
I thought they were really good. It is definitely still a show for kids.
Yeah, I think that was kind of what I came away from it, and maybe I had assumed that because they were kind of making a sequel, they would grow the show with their audience, and we'd have more of an adult kind of show, but it's not.
I mean, I think it has pretty heavy themes, particularly the second episode. And the third episode has some crazy body horror and sexiness, though it's still pretty tame.
I would say that it's as adult as the first one was, which was more adult than a lot of kids' cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple weird, just animation tropey things,
Everybody
one
always stands
character-
around in their own costume.
yes,
These people
especially...
never change out of their costumes. A
Yeah.
woman is having a child, and they're like, "Yeah, well, I'm Cyclops. I got to be in my fucking. I got to be in my gold underoos."
Yeah. Or I'm appearing before the United Nations. I have to wear my one-piece suit with a giant logo across my chest.
The big M on the chest, boy.
Yeah.
That particular Magneto costume, which is a comic real costume, not one that you see very often. It's so much worse than the regular Magneto costume.
He looked ridiculous. Put on a shirt. You are appearing again
He's
before the United
sleeveless.
Nations.
He's sleeveless, but he has elbow-length gloves. Oh,
Sounds pretty
man.
cool to
When
me.
Magneto shows up holding a book that says The Last Will and Testament of Charles Xavier, I was like, listen, I deal with will and testaments a lot in my job, and I've got news for you. They aren't books.
I could see Charles Xavier binding his like a book though. He's a little bit extra.
Okay, but they typically are like 20 pages.
Yeah, he's going to get into every single thing in the mansion.
I liked it. I think it's good. I think the voice cast, they brought back the original voice cast, and you can tell that these people are 20 years older. Like,
yeah,
some of these.
I mean, 20-ish. I mean, 97.
Yeah, you're right. 25-ish.
Almost 30.
Some of them sound like, like I love Rogue, but she does kind of sound like an old lady now.
It would be great if they had cigarette voices. I'm Rogue.
I think it's a good show. It's worth watching, but it's not blowing anybody's mind. It's not. I don't know. I like the idea of these 90s versions of these characters becoming popularized again, because that's kind of what I want if they ever do an MCU X-Men type thing. I don't want the terrible Fox X-Men. I want people in costumes. I want Cyclops to be the fucking leader. Like, these are the things I want from this.
Matt, I have a question for you. In your ideal, I guess, like, MCU X-Men adaptation, if you were introduced to the X-Men in that universe, would you want them to have been X-Men for a while, or do you want like an origins of the X-Men kind of thing?
I mean, I don't think the X-Men need an origin. That's kind of the point of the X-Men. That is what they were going for when they introduced the X-Men, was we want to stop coming up with fucking origin stories for these people. What if they're just born with powers? There's been a lot of chatter about what Disney could do with the X-Men since they bought Fox. And I always see lots of like fan theories of like, well, maybe the X-Men were there the whole time, or maybe blah, blah, blah. We don't need that. It's stupid. I don't want it. Nobody's ever mentioned mutants before. It's idiotic. Just give me one movie of a teenage cast of X-Men. It doesn't have to be the original 5. Or it can be, and maybe they don't all have to be fucking white dudes. And then branch from that into more things. That is what I would want out of a Disney X-Men. It doesn't have to be an origin story. We're students at this academy. It's 2025. We have weird powers, or whatever year it is in MCU now, right? Because they skipped ahead 5 years, so it's like 2030. Yeah. Like,
Would you like to see Rogue eat up Captain Marvel's powers? Nom 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 nom.
I would love that, Vanessa.
Why would she do that?
Well,
why would that happen?
Do you remember X-Men the animated series, right?
Yeah.
Remember how Rogue could like fly and she had like super strength?
Yes, I do remember that.
That's because she ate up Captain Marvel's powers.
Oh, I always wondered why they never let Anna Paquin do that in the movies.
Rogue's actual mutant power is copying other people's power by touching them. So I've got a real hate on for copying powers. It's the most boring thing that you can give a new character, and they do it all the time. In the X-Men books right now, Sync, who was introduced in the 90s, but his entire power set is I copy people's powers, and it's boring as shit. Rogue,
isn't that like Rachel Summers' deal too?
No, Rachel Summers is very similar to Jean Grey. Hope Summers Hope Summers is the one that has the copying powers, and equally boring. In fact, they spent years with Hope Summers as a little girl and what's her power going to be, and when it turned out to be power copying, I legitimately, that was one of the angriest I've ever been at the X-Men comic books. Like,
you know what's really funny to me? Sometimes, like, when I'm bored, like, if I'm laying in bed at night or whatever, sometimes I'll just Google an X-Man, just to be like, what's this guy's deal with his powers? I like reading about different powers, see what they come up with. But some of these bios, some of these bios for these X-Men characters, like fucking Mahatma Gandhi didn't have a Wikipedia article as long as fucking Jean Grey. It's kind of embarrassing.
I hate power copiers. I do like Rogue, and partially that's because I like that Rogue's is A, touch base, and B, like fucks the person up. So at least it's not just I copy powers. But also, my original Rogue is the X-Men the Animated Series Rogue and the 90s X-Men Rogue, who had gobbled up Captain Marvel's powers. So in my mind, Rogue flies around and punches people. And I like that, and can't touch people. I like that version of Rogue a lot more than I like the X-Men Fox movies Rogue, which is just, I can't touch people.
Yeah,
Though at least that is more interesting than your typical power copier, like, as we were just discussing, like Hope Summers, who is...
Right.
I love Hope Summers as a character. Boring as shit.
As much as I do like Brie Larson, I think more than a lot of people do,
I think she's great.
I'd like to see Rogue eat up her powers, because I think it would give Brie Larson as an actress the opportunity to be vulnerable, which she hasn't really been allowed to do in that role.
And I do think that, I mean, there is the plot line from a few years ago of the Avengers versus X-Men, where they kind of went to war with each other. And I think that they could make that into a pretty good movie. I think you could probably push out a trilogy of X-Men movies and then lead that into an Avengers movie that is Avengers versus X-Men. Mm-hmm. Because they have, unlike something like Civil War, which the movies did a great job giving them a reason to be fighting, that the comics really fucked up. If you're a comic reader, you know what I'm talking about. They character assassinated Tony Stark and Reed Richards and suddenly made them like real pro-fucking government, pro-fascism. It was real fucking weird and not good. Whereas the movie gave us Tony Stark realized that Bucky had killed his dad, his parents, and so you had a reason for that conflict. I think that the movies could do a great Avengers versus X-Men thing because they have a reason to be fighting, because the Avengers are essentially an arm of the United States, not government, but people at least, or the world's people. And the X-Men are this weird outcast group. I think you could really pull that off, and I don't think they'll ever do it good or right. But listen, I've been champing at the bit for a good reboot of the X-Men since Disney bought Fox a decade ago. I don't think they're ever going to do it. But
Dreamcast, Wolverine. Who's your fan cast for Wolverine?
Daniel Radcliffe. Maybe. Wait, no.
Oh man,
No.
that'd be dope.
No. I don't know his name. The kid that plays the bear in The Bear.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy
could
Allen White.
Nail it. And listen, Henry Cavill's name's been bandied around a lot lately.
I can see that.
Henry Cavill for Cyclops, for sure.
Oh yeah. He's a little old.
Yeah,
He's also
well,
really
if you're-
beefy.
It depends on what you're gonna. I mean, Cyclops is. Have you ever seen Cyclops? He's fucking
Is he
large.
Beeftown?
He's a beefy.
I think start him young. I think go with your
I agree
five.
with that.
You know,
I agree
maybe-
with that. And Jeremy Allen White would be a good Wolverine because he's supposed to be older. And then,
Right.
but at that point, if you're going to do teenage X-Men, I don't have a fan cast. I don't know teenage fucking act. I don't know.
Yeah, me
Wolverine, Teen Wolfhard,
Cyclops,
Cyclops,
Teen
Robert
Wolfhard.
De Niro, Jean Grey, Famke Janssen again.
No, thanks.
Who's that guy who was on Riverdale and then he was in like May, December, and everyone's kind of losing their mind over him these days as a good
I
actor?
have no idea.
He could do
Is
a
it one of those
Cyclops.
twin? Is it one of those twin boys?
No, it's not one of the Sprouses. It's I don't remember his name. He's a very handsome man. And I don't know how young he actually is, but he played a teenager on Riverdale. His name is
No, no,
Charles Melton, and he has
Oh.
great Cyclops look. His face is totally square.
You know, also a good Cyclops, Jacob Elordi, who played Elvis in Priscilla.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he'd be good too.
Yeah, Charles Melton looks good. I really want an X-Men movie to focus on. Listen, I get it. Not everybody agrees with this, but I'm a big Cyclops fan, and I think if you're going to make an X-Men movie, he's basically the main character. And it always aggravated me that those Fox X-Men movies made Wolverine the main character and Cyclops just kind of like a nerd.
Yeah, I don't need more Wolverine. He's not a type of character I tend to like. I'm on record. I don't like the Wolverine. I don't like Raphael, the Ninja Turtle. I don't like the chip
You don't
on
like
your shoulder
the angry,
dudes.
yeah,
like
the angry
angry boy.
dudes.
I mean, I'm right there with you.
I agree with that, Vanessa. In fact, my favorite of the like X-Men from the animated series was Nightcrawler. I love Nightcrawler. I always played as him as in the arcade game. I thought his powers were super cool. He looked super cool. He was an interesting dude.
Yeah,
I
I
will
agree.
say, don't bring back any of the old cast except for Alan Rickman. I'm not Alan Rickman.
Alan Cumming.
Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler.
Oh, he's too old. He's just too old.
He's not.
He is.
CGI him. Make him blue.
He's way too old.
Bam.
There's another elfish British man they can put in that role.
I mean, Nightcrawler's German, so he doesn't need to be British.
I thought he was. Oh yeah, he is German, isn't he? Is he German or Polish?
He's German.
He's German.
Anyway, I that's X-Men talk. I don't want to. I could. This whole podcast can turn into an X-Men podcast. I love the X-Men. And bring in Kitty Pryde and make her a real character, you pieces of shit. And she
How do you
better
feel
be
about
fucking
her
Jewish.
character in Days of Future Past?
Bad. I feel bad about it.
I was like, her whole deal is just like sending Wolverine into the past.
Yeah, it's real dumb because she's a really interesting and good character.
Yeah.
But to get back to the point, I do think if you were to do X-Men now, which Fox did try to do. They did try to do a younger X-Men cast, which I appreciate. It wasn't good, but I appreciate it. Like, I respect the thought process behind it. I think you do.
I liked those X-Men's with the Fassbender and whatnot.
Yeah, I hate them.
Oh yeah. Well, they're not all good. I think Days of Future Past is good. I think First Class is okay for most of it, and then they killed my favorite mutant ever. They killed Darwin, who's like the coolest, in my opinion, like the coolest mutant.
The only black mutant in the movie, and they kill him first, even though his power is to survive
they kill him immediately. His power is he can survive anything.
It's
and like
insane.
Tevin
It's
Bacon just
decisions.
kills him in one scene. Are you serious?
Also,
That
do you
pissed me off.
remember how like cardboard January Jones was in that movie? That was one of the
She
worst
sucked.
performances
I thought she was a really good actress in Mad Men, and then when I saw her in X-Men First Class, I completely 180'd on her. I was like, wow, this woman
she's just
sucks.
farting out her lines. It seems like she's like phoning in her performance from somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like it's a secondary performance.
I think you do a young X-Men movie, and then I think that in your next movie, you jump it ahead 5 years, and you're like, yeah, we've got Nightcrawler, we've got Colossus, we've got all these other characters, and it's not just that small cast. But I think you start with a small, young cast, and then you go from there. And then...
One thing I appreciate about the X-Men movies, not all of them, but there's like a willingness to to put different actors in different roles, and also like age up and down the character. Like the fact that they made Logan with like an old Wolverine and an old Xavier, even though they were the same actors, like that's a big risk, and it was super interesting. Like take the characters, put them in a different setting, make them older or whatever. Like I like that. Tell me different stories with these characters.
I don't like a lot of the things that they do, though. Like First Class, I have a real problem with for the pettiest of reasons, which is that Alex Summers is Scott Summers' younger brother.
Yeah, that's true. And he's
40
years older?
I cannot countenance him being 40 years older than his brother. It's unacceptable.
He was in Vietnam, and James Marsden in the late 90s is like 25.
Yeah, it's bad. All right, we got to stop talking about X-Men, or this will take up the entire show.
Yeah,
this isn't even my level up, and I've been talking a lot.
Oh, God, we haven't even gotten into your level up yet?
No, I have so much to talk about, too.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Hey, Matt, how'd you level up?
I mean, John's not here to talk about things he might do, so I might as well enjoy myself.
Yeah, it's theoretical levels up.
Hey, I watched that new Roadhouse.
What'd you think?
I loved it. It was great. Okay, great might be a stretch, but it was fun, and it was enjoyable, and Jake Gyllenhaal is a good actor. He doesn't do a lot. He doesn't have a lot to do in this movie. He just is kind of charming, and that's fine. Conor McGregor is in it. He's awful. One of the worst actors I've ever seen in a movie, and I watch Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Is he an MMA guy? Is that his deal?
Yeah. No, yes.
Who are we
right?
talking about right now?
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor is an MMA guy.
Yeah.
He's also a huge piece of shit IRL.
Noted domestic abuser.
Yeah, not good. I appreciated the fact that I feel like Conor McGregor, not a good actor, but I feel like he was directed well in the new Roadhouse. In that
the director was good, right?
They gave him Doug Liman is the director.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They gave Conor McGregor like one gear and made him stick to that. He's not in the whole movie. He's about half the movie, and they very much, you can tell that somebody was on his ass and was like, "This is you. You're gonna make this one face." And you're going to look crazy. And that's it.
That feels like a classic example of like stunt casting. You know what I mean? Like
is.
we're going to cast a well-known IRL fighter person for this, and nobody expects him to be good, but everyone he's recognizable.
Sure. Well, they do away with the original Roadhouse's concept of like legendary coolers, which is one of the dumbest things that's ever been committed to film, and make Jake Gyllenhaal's character an ex-MMA fighter himself. So, of course, they introduce a famous IRL MMA fighter as kind of the big villain. But I really enjoyed it. It's not going to win any awards, but it's fun. I had a good time, and that's very true to the original Roadhouse, which is not a very good movie, but is a very fun movie. So, Roadhouse, fucking way better than I hoped. Okay.
Thanks for the level up, Matt.
Thanks.
Let's
Am I alone here?
To the
I literally was
log.
not sure if it was just me at this point. I also watched a show on Amazon Prime called Has Been Hotel. Have you heard of this, Vanessa?
I feel like maybe I have. Is it a cartoon?
Yes.
Aha. Then I have heard of it. I thought from you, maybe.
My children watched it before I had really even heard of it. And having watched it myself, I wish they had not done that. It is very graphic and not suitable for children. But I liked it a lot. It is an animated show on Amazon Prime. It's also a musical. It is about a hotel in hell run by Lucifer's daughter, whose name is Charlie, as she tries to rehabilitate demons so that they can get into heaven, because heaven sends a yearly extermination squad of angels to kill off a chunk of the population of hell, because hell is getting too full. That sounds like a very heavy concept for a children's cartoon, and it is. But
yeah, that's a pretty heavy show.
It's really good, and the musical stuff is great, and I love it. It's fantastic. I have not watched the final episode yet, unfortunately. I was hoping to before we recorded, but I made it through episode 7 last night. It's a lot of fun. Charlie, the daughter of Lucifer and Lilith, is the main character. Stephanie Beatrice, I think is her name. Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine plays her girlfriend, Veggie, and the rest of the cast is rounded out by Alistair, a radio demon, Sir Pinchus, who is a snaky dude, and Keith David as a character named something. Well, I can't remember.
He's like a bartender guy, right?
Yeah, he's like a bartender.
I can't remember, yeah.
Has Been Hotel was pretty good. Like, I really enjoyed myself. I thought that there were a few musical numbers that were really fucking good. And even though it was way darker than I expected, because once again, my children watched it before I did, and I kind of regret that happening. There's a character named Angel Dust who is a porn star, and he gets a whole arc about his pimp that beats him up and forces him to act in porn movies.
It's a super high concept show. I watched like 3 episodes of it. It's got a lot going on.
I really enjoyed it. It's very heavy, but I really liked it, and I can see some of our listeners really enjoying it if they have not heard of it or had not checked it out. It's very unique, and there is apparently like a web series called Hell of a Boss that is also tied into that I have not watched, but it's engaging. And I like it. And that's it. That's how I leveled up, because we apparently are 50 minutes into this recording and still in the level up segment.
Complete
That's
madness.
bad. That's bad. I kept mine
Bad
short.
and we're
You're
bad
welcome.
at this show.
You're welcome. I wanted to talk about the like shitty anime that I've been watching, but you know what? I don't need to talk about it.
Save it for next week.
Yeah, I'll save it for next week. And on that
All
note,
right.
it's time for us to dive into the quest log. And also, I have to go pee.
Yeah, Chapter 2 of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's open world time.
It's very
We
exciting.
It is. We're first introduced here to Calm as a town, and wow, they did a great job with the towns in this game.
Calm looks great. It looks like a European town, sort of generic European village town. It's
like
very cute.
It's like a what am I thinking? Like a Brussels or a Bruges kind of place.
It's
Villagey.
very populated, which I think is great. Like you can sort of walk around. There's lots of food stalls. Every little stall actually is not selling something you can buy, but you can look at the goods and it feels alive. Like people are doing things. It's nice.
It is. And we're in. So I think last episode we ended the flashback. We went to sleep at the inn in Calm. We wake up and we're kind of greeted with a host of different tutorials. We get an introduction to the relationship mechanics of the game, which I appreciate that it's more explicit in this game than it was in the original, that like your choices can affect different like kind of contextual outcomes, circumstantial outcomes later in the game.
Right.
And
here
you
it's
can
not like a secret whether or not people like you, which it is in real life. So, you know.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Although I found the colors confusing during my playthrough. Like, you would think that green would mean good and that blue would mean they're sad. But in this game, blue is the best color and green is just kind of okay.
Yeah, you really have to look at the little emoji and not just the color, because the face will get more and more enthusiastic about you.
Yeah, and it's hard to, like, at a certain point in the game, all my characters had blue smileys, and I was like, what did I do to piss everybody off? It's like, I'm going to get the bad ending. But yeah, so different, so basically your relationship with other characters are affected by, in a small way, different dialogue choices. You're presented with, you're definitely more in the first half than in the second half, so there's some things you can say to characters that will affect your relationship, but it's mostly dependent on the amount of side stuff that you do. So side quests basically are branded with a certain party character. And you'll know who that party character is because they'll be present in that side quest cutscenes. But basically side quests are for your side characters. And so if you like want the best outcomes, you should do every side quest.
Mm-hmm.
We're also.
Go
ahead.
Side question, because since you mentioned a bad ending, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but I did hear that if you don't pet every chocobo at each chocobo stop, something can happen with like Chocobilly or something like that. Is that true?
That is correct. Matt, I will say this is for you
What?
because I know you're not a big fan of doing this stuff. You need to pet every small chocobo.
I always pet chocobos when I have the chance, but I did find a chocobo stop that did not have a baby chocobo.
I think sometimes if you approach them from a different way, it won't
That's
be
what
there
it was.
right
Yeah,
away.
if you're not
I
led
assumed it
there
was.
by a baby choco, yeah. So yeah, just something to keep in the back of your brain, Matt, because something
You get a bad ending,
can happen,
or you get a bad
not a bad
event.
A character can have a bad ending. Let's just say that.
Well, I hope
So-
Chocobo really fucking dies. I don't care.
We're also introduced
Keep
to Queen's
calm
Blood.
and carry your fucking trauma is the title of this episode, because that is what happens.
What do you mean? What are you referencing?
Cloud's whole life. Everything
Oh,
that
that's
happened to
true.
Tifa.
I
Basically
like
the
that
first
keep-
episode of this series.
I like keep calm, but calm with a K.
Yeah.
Like calm the city. that you're in.
Obviously.
Yeah.
That's clearly
Love
what
it.
I meant. What did you think I meant?
Okay. I don't know. I thought you were just doing the chive thing.
Keep calm and sexy Roth.
We're also introduced to Queen's Blood, which is this game's big card game, which is amazing. Queen's Blood is addicting, and I like playing Queen's Blood.
It looks good and it's fun to play, but it's easy. It's
It
very
gets less easy. I
My
did the same
strategy
tactic
is
as you
still-
for most of my playthrough.
My strategy is still working for me, and I am through the next region and have played all of the Queen's Blood players there. And if you just push forward and take as many squares as possible, you absolutely fuck the other player.
Yeah, being aggressive seems to be important.
Yes. I will say that later opponents in Queen's Blood all have a gimmick. Where you'll meet this one character and their whole deal is they use a destruction focused deck where they'll play cards and then destroy them, but destroying them increases the numbers of other cards that they have. So you can think you're going to beat an opponent, or you have the whole board covered, and then they'll play these destruction cards and it'll completely flip the game. So the game will force you to diversify your decks a little bit, which I appreciated, because I was playing with most of my intro deck throughout the whole game.
Oh, really?
But then
I've been buying
later
they sell
opponents
booster
really
packs.
challenge you.
They sell booster packs, and I've been going through and adding the ones that look good to me to my deck as I play.
I mean, they cost so little money, those booster packs. I've just been buying them all as I find them, but I haven't found myself using a lot of them. But yeah, Queen's Blood does become a little bit more challenging as you go. We also learn about folios, which are essentially kind of a version of the sphere grid from Final Fantasy X, where you unlock certain parts of a board essentially that include different almost like skill slots that you can buy that will boost your stats or give you additional abilities.
How
And
do
you
gain? Yeah, tell about that.
Yeah. So you gain SP or skill points by leveling up, or buying, or finding, or earning the skill books that were present in the first one make a reappearance here. Where
You can buy them
Aerith
from Moogle
has
shops.
you can buy them from Moogle shops. You earn a ton of them in side quests. When I say that side
really?
quests are meant
I
for
haven't
side,
earned any.
yeah, when I said that side quests are meant for side characters, a big part of that is side quests will net you a ton of these, they're essentially like book pages or tome pages that are specific to each character. They give you skill points. So you earn, I would say, most of them through side quests. You find a lot of them. You get a lot of them in side quests. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But yeah, the folio, I don't know if you call them folio boards. But these folios will unlock synergy attacks for your characters. They'll unlock. You get each character has abilities you can unlock that let them use elemental magic without expending MP.
Yeah, I
They
thought that was going
just
to be really
use
handy,
ATB slots.
but I thought that was going to be really handy, but it doesn't seem to be. Like if you've got an enemy that's weak to an element, this would seem like what that's for, but it does so little damage that it doesn't seem worthwhile.
I agree with you. It's more useful in the early part of the game than it is the latter part of the game.
But you're not going to get this stuff early in the game because it takes a long time to unlock some of it. So
yeah, you get like baby versions of it for a couple characters early, which can be useful, but otherwise it's not super useful. One thing I actually like about
folios because it is reminiscent of Final Fantasy X's. What was it called? The sphere grid, and I did love that. So I like that in this. I meant to ask you. So they ditched the whole weapon upgrade thing here, right, from the last game?
So there are weapon upgrades, but they are essentially they are specific to each weapon, kind of like they were in the first one, but it's less involved in this one for sure.
Yeah, you don't go into that little. I don't even know what to call it.
It's like a little solar system thing where here's your weapon, and then there's all these different abilities revolving around it, and you can unlock them as you go. I thought the presentation of that was great, but I can see why I thought it was really intuitive. Well, I thought it was super intuitive in the first one, but this one they kind of separate it.
It's intuitive. That doesn't make it good. Like, yes, you can get a weapon
easy to use
and dump some SP into it, and then you get a little menu that looks like a solar system that's like, this gives you 100 extra MP, and this gives you +2 to your attack. Like, it's not complicated. It's not.
Yeah,
I didn't like it in the first game. I didn't like it in the first game because it was tied to every single weapon, and then you felt like you had to level up your weapons, which, I like the change here. I like that they ditched it, and now you just have this sphere grid.
Yeah, and one thing I like about this is that you can kind of gear the weapon upgrades that you assign to the innate benefits of that weapon. So, like, let's say for Tifa, you get there's only a couple of, maybe one of these, but like her magic-oriented gloves. You can then assign a lot of like MP boosting, magic attack boosting upgrades to that weapon. And if you have like a high physical damage weapon, you can assign yes, you can change the weapon upgrades like you slot out materia. So if you look in the materia menu, there's a weapon upgrade to the bottom. Yeah, where you can slot out different upgrades. And one thing I appreciated that I didn't really use until the end of the game, but you can use the auto upgrade and basically tell it what stat category to boost. So you can hit auto upgrade and say, I want attack. And it'll assign all of the attack oriented upgrades to your weapon, which I thought was useful because I got tired of menuing towards the end of the game.
It's automatically set to auto upgrade.
Oh, really? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, well, I was slotting out different ones all the time.
I
don't
keep
think
going
I
into
used the
that
auto
menu
until
and like I have no options, and it kind of aggravates me because I'm like, what's the there's a menu called weapon upgrades, and you go into it, and there's literally nothing there. There are no options.
There. Yeah.
Why is
it's
this menu
all in the
here?
materia thing? Yeah,
it's real dumb.
Yeah, it's all in the materia and equipment menu. So we learn all that stuff, which are kind of the real base mechanics of the game, and we're allowed to explore Calm. And we meet Bowden, who's a new character, who is the, I guess, manager, owner, caretaker of the Calm Inn. Vanessa, what's Bowden's deal?
He's the owner.
We talked about him a little bit last time. He's
a little bit.
Super hot, super great, really alluring, chronically ill, I guess, but in like you want to put him in bed and
like
dab his
way.
forehead with like a damp cloth kind of way,
Yeah. He has that Cillian Murphy build that you really like.
He does. Like, in the movie version, he'll be played by David Dastmalchian.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Bowden Bowden talks like he hates Shinra.
Yeah.
One thing I like about this game that I didn't even think about in remake is they really carry that anti-Shinra sentiment throughout the whole world, which is not something that you really got in the original.
Yeah.
In the original, you would go to a new town, and it was kind of classic NPC dialogue, where it's like, here, I love living in Rocket Town. We have a big rocket, kind of thing. And in this one, they're like, fuck Shinra. Like, it makes sense.
It's more realistic
in the world of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really makes Shinra seem that much more oppressive, which I like.
Well, because the whole deal with Shinra, right, is they used to be a republic of some sort, and then Shinra basically took over.
Yeah, that is something that I actually don't know a lot about. And I haven't read a lot of the Chadley entries, but the Republic is like a persistent the the quote unquote old Republic is a persistent presence throughout the game. Like, you find something, it's like, oh, this is an old Republic factory or an old Republic ruin or something like that.
I don't know about
this old Republic.
I don't know about the Calm area, but in the Junon area, it's definitely the Republic of Junon.
Yeah, Junon is kind of special in that sense. You get some Republic stuff in the grasslands, like when you do Kyrie's thing, you have to find parts to fix that old Republic pipeline. There's like for like the Beck's badass thing and the proto relic, you have to go to some old Republic things. We'll get into that a little bit later. But after, kind of exploring Calm a little bit, we can go talk to each of the side characters. At this point, we do have Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, Barrett, and Red 13. You can go talk to all of them. Aerith wants you to run up the clock tower, which is cool. You go find Tifa, talk to her, and right at this time, you see, in this game, they call them Relnikas. In the original, they called them Gelnikas. But you see one flying overhead. Shinra has kind of invaded Calm, looking for you. Bowden is helpful, decides to run interference so that you can do a little sneaky sneak and get back to the inn. So Bowden's a real dude.
Yeah, and his interference is just like running up to the guards and being like, "Oh, you're looking for those people? Let me think. I'm pretty sure I saw them." And they're like, "Get out of here, Bowden."
If you were a Shinra trooper, this is like, okay, this guy is hiding something.
Yeah, he's like really obviously.
He's being very conspicuous.
Yeah.
But Bowden does let you get back to the inn. He shows you a back door. And he's like, hey, there's a secret tunnel out of here. But first, take this item that can take ingredients and turn them into items for you, which seems like the most useful object in the world.
Right. Take this magic matter conversion machine.
Yeah, what's that thing in Star Trek that lets them create food and stuff like that?
The replicator.
Yeah, that's basically a replicator.
Yes, I've always assumed that's how the replicator works, is you have to feed it raw chemicals first.
Oh, I thought it was like a 3D printer. Well, yeah, I guess 3D printers need raw material. Yeah.
And you know what? The only thing that they can use on a starship to keep things going forever like that is, of course, poop.
You're making items out of poop.
That's what I think.
I'm pretty sure that in Star Trek, the replicators just use power. Like, whatever their power source is.
That doesn't make any sense. You have to have the building blocks of life.
Nothing in Star Trek makes any fucking sense.
The replicator kind of changed Star Trek's whole world, buddy.
Yeah. You're welcome. Next generation.
Didn't their universe suck before the replicator came about and kind of ended scarcity?
No, are there replicators in the original series, Vanessa?
I think there must be, because I remember some episode where like some guy is like all about riches and diamonds, and Kirk's like, well, we can make you like as many diamonds as you want on our ship.
That's how they're able to have these prime directive like exploration missions. They're not looking for resources, they're looking to observe scientifically, right?
The only thing you can't replicate is gold pressed latinum. Or maybe you can, I have no idea.
Well, we get the well, in this game it's called a transmuter. We get the item transmuter from Bowden, which unlocks a menu entry in the game's main menu where you can go in and depending on what field items or open world items you have in your inventory, resource items, you can craft potions and mega potions. You can craft all kinds of stuff, accessories.
I don't.
All that kind of stuff.
I don't need a crafting system in this fucking game.
It's like crafting light, I think.
It is.
Yeah, you don't
very
have to
much
think
of you.
about it very much. I just open it up sometimes and make one of everything, and then like my crafting level goes up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because we just played Dragon Age or Inquisition, which is very similar to this game. But like, and what I've noticed is that like shops and stuff don't really sell anything good or new. They just kind of sell the stuff that you can craft once you've crafted it. And I think it kind of sucks. Remember the fun of classic JRPGs where you would like find a new town and you'd be like, oh shit, they'd have new stuff for you and you'd get that new sword and it was so exciting.
Yeah, but then eventually it gets really irritating going through everything and buying one of everything and then selling everything else so you still have enough gil.
Okay, but this doesn't get really irritating because I'm already irritated with it.
I made it through this whole game without selling anything.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I don't think I've sold anything either.
I didn't sell a single thing. I think it is good because, like, one, you don't have to engage with all the shops if you don't want to. You can craft anything you want or just check the vending machines. And if you're ever low on items, you don't necessarily have to grind for XP. You can just craft it in the item transmuter menu.
Craft XP?
No, you can craft the items.
Potion.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't have to grind for gil. But you can just craft the items that you need in the transmuter.
Yeah, instead of grinding for gil, you have to grind for craftable materials.
It's not grinding though. You just walk up to stuff and collect it.
It's the same fucking concept, Jim. It's the same concept. You walk around the world to get the things you need to do the things.
You don't have to fight. You don't have to fight.
I mean, you do.
It means you can do it. You can do it casually.
You do for some of those items because beast bones and stuff typically aren't laying around the world.
I think you can craft those eventually. But anyways, we leave Calm and we decide that we can't go back for a while because Shinra's there. But we get to the grasslands, which is our first big kind of open world region.
Whoa.
And there's a ton of stuff to do eventually. It kind of puts you on a path.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on rails, but it definitely leads you a little bit because you run into Bill. I don't know if you guys remember the ending to Intergrade, but Bill is the nice man that picked you up in his truck, who said he would give you a ride to Calm after you get that extra ending after Intergrade. Mm-hmm. And he's like,
I love getting in trucks with strange men.
Yeah, he's like, hey, if you need to get to Junon, then you need to cross the marshes, and there's a dock to the south that you can go to that will help you get there. And so we go there, and we're like, oh man, this is gonna take forever to cross. There's no boats here. But Aerith and Tifa, who are friends in this game, which I really like.
Me too.
Their relationship is developed well here, where it's
awesome.
I don't know. I kind of feel like there should be more of a rivalry between them because it also makes it very clear that they both really want to fuck Cloud. And I don't know any.
Yeah,
I've never in real life run into a situation where two women want the same men and they.
But do they?
Don't. And they just don't address it at all. Like it's very awkward, but I do like that it makes them like friends. Like they're fun.
What I like about it. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I don't think that Aerith is interested in Cloud. I think Aerith is into Zack.
I felt the same way.
I don't think the game backs that up. I mean, I'm not as far into the game as you two, obviously, so I could be wrong. but from what I've played so far, I don't think the game backs that up. I think the game makes it pretty explicit that Aerith is very into Cloud.
One thing that I like about this dynamic is that, like, it kind of it feels a little more grounded in real life, in the sense that, of course, two women would gravitate towards one another rather than this guy who has obvious mental problems.
Mental problems, yeah.
Yes, serious mental problems, and there's like trying to understand what his deal is. It makes sense, even if they're both crushing on him, that they would confide in one another about it. Then they would be constantly fawning over Cloud. So that just makes more sense to me than what was going on in the original, where it's like, oh, well, you know, Cloud. Well, the game still kind of does that, where Cloud's obviously the hottest person in existence to everyone else in the world, but these two women are like, this guy is kind of weird.
Yeah. It is true that everyone loses their mind over Cloud the moment they see him.
Well, he's the handsomest boy. He is your stand-in character for the player, and so of course he's the handsomest boy that all the women really love and all the men respect.
Yeah. No, the men also fall in love with him, though, because he is not just handsome, he's pretty handsome. He's the prettiest little lad. He
is pretty handsome, though. Like,
he's a pretty dude.
He is 1994's Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, he's...
So we follow the signs to the Chocobo farm. This is where we meet in the original it was Choco Billy. And this one is just Billy, who's like a young Chocobo farmer, and his sister Chloe. Chloe was not present in the original. I believe she's a new character. And they're working on this farm. And we learn that their parents are dead.
Yeah,
and
she admits to their parents being dead. Billy is just like, my mom and dad left. Meh.
Yeah, Billy has a lot of issues that we'll learn about as we get through the game. But we learn that in order to get a chocobo, because all of the chocobos at the farm are spoken for, we have to go catch one. And this is, I guess, our introduction to would you call this a mini game?
Sort of, except it's like plot essential. I always feel like mini games should be skippable, but most of the mini games in this game are not. So
this is like a forced mini game.
Yeah.
Where you have to sneak through a field of chocobos in order to get to the prize chocobo. In this case, the only named chocobo named Pico.
It's a stealth section.
I will say that there's only, I want to say, 3 or 4 of these chocobo catching sequences. They become progressively more annoying, so just be prepared for that. But yeah, we have to go catch a chocobo. We get some Geisal greens from Chloe that we can use to pacify the chocobo after we get it. When we get back to the farm, who's there but our best friend Chadley?
Yay!
Chadley the cyborg boy.
Chadley's the best.
And he's like, hey, I'm Chadley. Remember me? I was a cyborg. I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on your open world map for you to do. That's going to come along with some cool lore entries, some cool codex entries, if we're talking Dragon Age speak.
Chadley has an insane list of tasks for you to do. Chadley's like, you have to go to every radio tower in the world and configure it to my Chadley frequency so then I can Chadley information to you over your Chadley band that you wear on your wrist.
I love that Chadley has branded everything as Chad something or other. Like this little video gun transmitter thing that he gives you is called the Chad module.
His smart gun phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, smart gun phone. And he tells you to, what do they call these towers? It's like Omniwave or Parawave or something like that. He's like, hey, these are old, I think he says Old Republic communication towers. And he's like, hey, plug my plug my Chad gun in and you can reprogram them and I'll show you where more cool stuff is, which is similar to, as John calls them, Ubisoft towers or Assassin's Creed vantage points.
Yeah, they
which
are,
tell you
and
where all the interactable things are on the map.
It's not. I don't love it. Like, I don't need you to knock off the worst game developer in your game. It's not great.
Hot
okay,
takes from
Ubisoft
Matt.
has made a whole fucking industry out of repetitively doing this one thing over and over again, and it's not great to see it in a Square Enix game and a remake of a beloved classic to be like, here's a shitty thing that another company does, and we're going to do it ourselves. Hee hee. It sucks.
I like it. Each little one gives me a little serotonin burst.
I like that too, and I like that they're all easy to get through.
I like doing Chadley's little missions. I'm talking specifically about the towers. Like, it just...
Wait, the towers? I thought you didn't like the towers.
Why are you ripping off... Why are you ripping off Ubisoft games?
I thought it was... I mean, it's not novel, but it is satisfying.
Climbing the towers. I mean, I like doing the... I don't mind doing the little side quests. I don't love the... Well, let's talk about his little side quests, right? We've got the go fight some monsters.
Combat challenges, yes.
We've got the go to a tower.
Uh-huh.
We've got the go to a materia thing.
Life
Springs. I like those. Go find... I don't know what the summon ones are called.
Those are called shrines.
And then you have the proto relics, which I hated in this chunker and loved in the next chunker, which we'll talk about next week.
They're always different, by the way. All the I would say a lot of the diversity in the mini games happens around proto relics. I don't mind. It's a great addition.
I don't mind that. I don't like Chadley very much, but I don't mind that, you know, you're given a kind of a list of things to do in the area. I kind of like that it's open world, but it's not wide open world. It's not fully open world. I like that it's areas. And I like that it gives you stuff to do in each one. I don't love the towers. I mean, they're not hard. It's nothing. It's just go to the tower and climb to the top.
My favorite part about running around and doing things for Chadley is that sometimes he'll phone in his drag sona of Maya.
Yeah. We should say that Maya is specific to the combat challenges.
Is she?
She is. Yeah, she only pops up when it comes to enemy intel.
Why?
I don't know. She's just your combat AI person. She doesn't pop up in any other context. That's her thing.
And by her, I mean clearly just Chadley in a wig.
Chadley in a wig.
Like, they are wearing the same clothes, but in like instead of wearing like
shit talking her, so he's shit talking himself.
Yeah,
that's what I said. That's why I said in the group chat, I was like, this is like Maya's Chadley's alt account where he can do comedy bits and pretend like it's two different people.
Yeah, she's like his sock puppet. You know, like some people will make sock puppet accounts to attack themselves, so other people will like come to their defense.
Yes, if Chadley was a stand-up, she would be his audience plant.
Yeah. So he can like totally smack her down with his amazing
that's how he does
burns.
That's how he does crowd work.
So you get 3 or 4 of these per region, right? 3 or 4 of each kind. And I will say another point of annoyance for me is that if you are running through Chadley's world intel missions, it stops you every time you complete one so that Chadley can call you on his gun phone, on your gun phone, and talk to you about it. And they are very short and they are very close together. So what that amounts to is that Chadley is calling you every 3 or 4 minutes to do a little dialogue. Yeah. And when you run into that too much, when you're trying to clear these missions, it becomes very, very fucking annoying. Like it is
I agree.
Rogue Galaxy levels of child robot that just won't shut the fuck up.
I feel like Square Enix has done a lot to make this, I don't know, not as smooth as it should be, but smoother than you think. But I think there's a big miss here, and this was a big annoyance for me throughout the whole game, and it happens at the life spring sections when you can scan the life springs, is that Cloud will pull out his smartphone gun to scan the life springs, smart gun phone, to scan the life springs, and then put it away when you're done, obviously. But then, as soon as you're done, you step back and Chadley calls, and then you pull it out again to get a little cutscene from Chadley. It's like, come on, man, make that all one thing.
I feel like this game is it is a complaint that I had in the last game, and I feel like it's more pronounced here. That the game is intentionally slowing you down constantly, and what I can only assume is a desire to pad the length of this game. Mm-hmm. It is constantly making you stop and listen to somebody talk some stupid shit about something, or forcing you to walk through an area instead of letting you run, or making
in the
your
90s,
chocobo swim as slow as possible through the swamp. Like, it
the length of Final Fantasy games used to be a big selling point of them. They'd be like over 60 hours of gameplay, and then it's like, what a bargain. I'm only paying like $1 an hour.
I understand that, and I agree with you. It feels like they still want to do that, but don't have the actual game for it, so they intentionally are slowing you down to continue that trend, to pad
but
the
like
game.
Also, what's the ideal way to balance that? Because like you have an open world where you're trying to, one, give players freedom to do things at their own pace, but also tell a story. You kind of have to throttle progression in a way in order to like make sure you get the appropriate story stuff out. I know this isn't the most satisfying way to do it, but ideally, what would the best version of that be? I don't
need to come up with the best version of that, because I am not a multi-billion-dollar game developer.
That's true. You know what, in my opinion, is the best version of that is the new God of War games. Those games are able to tell a very involved story with tons of characters in a way where it never feels like it's artificially slowing the pace of the game.
Well, but can we also say that plenty of games have, like, this is not a new concept. Plenty of games have had involved stories, and they did it via things like cutscenes, and now they don't want to do that anymore. So instead, we get slow walk sections. So what?
Yeah, slow walking is not... I don't think slow walking is the way to do it, but I feel like cutscenes are also not the way to do it. Unless... Cutscenes are for, like, if you want to tell a piece of the story very cinematically, then I think a cutscene is appropriate. But otherwise...
that was one of the big selling points of the Final Fantasy series in the 90s and early 2000s, was look at our cinematic game. And now they've kind of abandoned that for this constant need to funnel you through a tube.
The original Final Fantasy was great for these highly detailed pre-rendered backgrounds that you really couldn't interact with, but were still really pretty to look at. It would be great if in this game you got the high def character models, but the backgrounds were all like FMV. Like you were moving around like an actual field, but like as your high def character models. That I think is a great iteration of the FMV pre-rendered background situation.
I'm just picturing, like, in Barbie when they go on the, like, journey and you see them from the side and they're, like, moving along and the backgrounds are scrolling by,
Hey, yeah.
Moving right along, dooga-dung, dooga-dung. Yeah, I mean, listen, I might be talking about it too much. It's not a game killer. I'm having a good time. But I do frequently find myself frustrated by how much I am, A, forced to listen to fucking Chadley, or B, just kind of arbitrarily slowed down.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
I can understand that. It's definitely more pronounced in this first half of the game than it is in the second, I feel like.
I doubt that's true.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I just didn't notice it as much.
Yeah,
in the
maybe
second
you just
half.
got
Recency
I was
bias.
used to it.
You
can
have
smash that
too
circle
much
button, though, and
of a
skip
heart
some
on
of
it.
that dialogue.
Yeah, I do.
You know what? I'm a notorious cutscene skipper. I did not skip a cutscene until the final 5% of the game, I bet. When I was like, I know what's happening here, I'm gonna skip it. And I was also like kind of really tired and falling asleep. So I was like, I need to get through this. But
So I was gonna say,
yeah.
I did. You mentioned that the game kind of. So I did not go straight to Bill's Chocobo Ranch. I went and ran around the world, and I felt like the world was like super fucking empty, and was kind of getting frustrated. Like, this sucks. Like, I'm going to all these interesting locations. Like, ooh, here's a windmill farm. There's nothing to do. Here's a random warehouse. There's nothing inside. But once I met Chadley and went to Bill and all that, then all this stuff got added. So if you're listening to this but have not played along yet for some reason, go straight to Bill. Like, go straight to the Chocobo farm.
You know, one of the things
I
I like about
the world's kind of empty, but
you know what's interesting about that, Matt, is one of the things that I appreciated about the game. I don't know if Vanessa has noticed this or not, but the world is more barren and boring around the Mako reactors. So the area closest to Midgar in this grassland section is barren. It's the area where the highway is. It's nothing. It's all stone. There's no fauna. But as you move away from it and towards where you're supposed to go, towards Junin, there's more grass. There are more trees. There are more hills.
that's not really what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, but also I will say, like, as you go into other areas, which may or may not be close to Mako reactors, there are places that are lush or filled with people, or each area is so distinct, and it feels like it's trying to capture the vibe of it from the original, but also two, it's playing into the fact that these places are maybe less touched by Shinra than other places. So it kind of feels a little bit more, or a little less. Well, it feels more like ingrained in the world of the game.
Yeah, it's telling the story.
Yeah. There's a lot of environmental storytelling in this game that I really like.
There's a lot of environmental things that are cool. Like, there are birds and rabbits, and like the world does feel like real and lived in and whatnot. But from like a gameplay perspective, you can go to the places on the map where the marker is to do the thing. And then outside of that, there's just not a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll stumble upon a camp, and maybe you'll find a treasure chest. Probably not. Maybe there will be some crafting items on the ground. Mm-hmm. And they're definitely, the world itself, like the camp, will have birds and things like that make it look and feel like a real place. But like, I feel like just as an example, I feel like I walked into a camp and poked around in all the corners and tried to find something and found nothing.
Yeah,
unless there was a marker on the map from Chadley or one of the few quests you'll get in the city.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing that I was going to mention is I think the biggest filler part of this open world thing are these areas of interest, where you'll stumble into a thing and it'll be like area of interest discovered, X camp or whatever, and it's almost like a little treasure hunt where you have to find the treasure boxes.
Yeah.
That feels to me like 100% filler, because the items in the boxes are never good. No. And it's just like crossing another thing off your list. That I think is the most egregious example, in my opinion, of the filler that's present in the open world of this game. I like the Chadley stuff for the most part. I like how consistent it is. It makes it feel a little bit better in terms of whether it's filler or not. But those areas of interest, totally optional. Don't need it.
It's great at doing what Vanessa mentioned, which doing all of Chadley's little world intel missions really does. It's great. It hits that little dopamine rush. Like you're like, ooh, I did another one. Ooh, I did another one. Mm-hmm. It's hooky. It's addicting. I'm playing it. Like I'm into it. As I told you guys in the group, I'm in the next region, and the first thing I did was go talk to Chadley and then go do all of Chadley's missions before I even went into the city. Like I did nothing. I just went and did 30 missions. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It works, but
Chadley,
like I don't. It can both work and also be kind of disappointing.
Speaking of Chadley missions, let's talk about proto relics. There were combat challenges in the last one.
Those are boring.
They were all kind of within the established gameplay parameters. Proto relics seem to be a little bit different, and it seems to be more kind of a longer term play by the game. How do you guys feel about proto relics?
So are they always 4 parts? Because they have been
No. They're mostly 4 parts. I think one is 3.
Oh, okay. So they're 4 parts. Give me a fun.
Yeah.
But they're not always where it's like, go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this. It's different depending on the region.
Let's talk about the proto relic in the grasslands, because it's the worst thing that's ever happened. I hated it, and I wanted to punch Jim in the face for making me play this game every second that I had to deal with this. Tell us about the proto relic.
Yeah, so you learn that there's a sign of something called the proto relic on, I believe, the western part of the map in the more barren area, and it's like, but you get there and you're searching for it. Yeah.
What's a proto relic?
It's a relic, but it's proto.
Yeah, according to Chadley, it's a relic that
old
detects.
Thing is what proto relic means.
Yeah.
It's an unknown energy signature that Chadley has detected in the world that he wants you to investigate.
It's a pre-antique.
Yes. In the case of the grasslands, he tells you to go find it. This is where you run into, I know Matt hates it, but Beck's Badasses, the gang from the first one that you...
Yep.
Yeah.
I was delighted to see these characters back.
Well, I'm glad that you were. I hated them in the first game because it is both cringy and cheesy humor that, at least for me, does not work in any way, shape, or form. It is a chore to listen to these fucking people talk.
I like that they're obviously really stupid. Mm-hmm. I love how stupid they are. I will also say, as someone who's played the whole game, that Beck's Badasses represent what I think is the funniest part of the whole game. And so I'm really excited to get to it.
Boy, I mean, I hated dealing with them in this first chunker, and I can't even fucking fathom the idea that later on it's really funny. And the fact that you're like, I really like this, funny. And later on it's really great. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I'm annoyed that they're coming back. And I wish you hadn't told me that, because I might quit. I might leave. I might be done.
You're going to eat your words.
Whatever we're playing next season, I'll be back, but I don't think I want to keep doing this.
I loved that they remember you from the first game, and they're like, oh, it's those people who kept beating us the first game. Why are you here again to beat us?
I love that too, and I love that they... because like in the first game, these guys are based off of I think that they're like the bandit models that were in the Midgar section of the original. Mm-hmm. I love that like there's so many similar character models, but they all act like distinct people. And it's just like, it just works for me. It's very cartoony, very silly, but it's really funny and it's wacky and I like it. But they're kind of guarding all of these different areas where you get proto relic signatures. And one thing, like Beck's Badasses in remake were just like a gang of highwaymen that were looking to rob you as you made your way from, I think, like Sector 6 to Sector 7. Mm-hmm. But in in this game, they in Rebirth, they're the same gang, but they've moved out of Midgar and they're trying to go straight.
They're legitimate businessmen, as they keep telling us.
They're trying to establish their own business, which I think is really funny.
Mm-hmm. And I like that each time you come across them, they come up with a plan to get away, which inevitably means leaving one of them behind to fight you by themselves. And they're always really enthusiastic about the plan, too. They're never, like, upset that they've been left behind. They're like, this is a great plan. Like...
I love Beck's badasses. So, Proto-Relic, I'm curious what do you guys think the Proto-Relics are?
I have a theory, but I don't know if that's because I've played ahead too far to like share it, you know?
Yeah, don't.
Well, let's hear let's hear Matt's theory.
Yeah, let's hear Matt's metaphysical Proto-Relic.
Oh, you don't have a theory? Well, what is the first Proto-Relic?
Oh, it's
what is the first Proto-Relic?
Some garbage that you find because the game needs to pad out its runtime.
What do you think the garbage is? It shows you what the Proto-Relic is. It's not just like a glowy thing.
It is just a glowy thing.
Okay. Matt's theory is in development.
Yeah.
When you find it, you get a cutscene where Cloud, I don't know, has a seizure, I think.
Cloud has an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, sure. And he sees like a samurai.
Okay. Who do you think the samurai is? Do you have a guess?
I think it's who's the guy? What's the summon in all these games that you have to pay money to?
Yojimbo.
I think it's Yojimbo.
All right. We'll put a pin in that. We'll see. Yojimbo's on the board.
I mean, maybe it's Sephiroth. You know? Who knows? Maybe it's Sexy Roth. Listen,
all right,
puppy. Collect my Proto-Relics and bring them to me.
All right, so we can or we can choose not to do the Chadley stuff, but otherwise we take our chocobos to the marshes.
What fucking idiot would not do as much of this as they could? I mean, listen, I get it. Maybe you don't do it all, which I didn't do, and then I went back and did. But like, you're gonna do most of it. Like, just as an example, the Titan stuff, which we didn't talk about, Chadley, just like in the last game, has new summon materia for you, but this time he'll send you on a few little missions to go, I don't know, scan something, and then that makes the Titan fight easier, which, are they Titans? What are they called?
It makes the fight easier and it upgrades the materia. So it's like a double
they're summons.
Win. Yeah,
summons. So
I have yet to fight one that I have not maxed out already, because why would you?
Right.
So what I like about this is that you can go scan these shrines because Chadley asks you to. When you actually get the summon materia, you're not getting the actual like regional deity. You're getting Chadley's version of it, and so Chadley's asking you to go scan these deific shrines in order to get more information so that he can artificially create a summon materia for you. I think that's a cool way to present
Chad
that.
Titan.
Can I just say?
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to say, like, I appreciate like that they needed something for this. They needed something. They needed someone to send you on these missions. There's too much fucking Chadley in this game.
I agree.
That's why they put him in a wig for half of it to try to like break it up. There's too much Chadley.
I don't think there's too much Chadley. I think there's too many Chadley interruptions.
Yeah.
If Chadley was just like like you got his dialogue through text on the side of your screen, like it does the little notifications that pop up.
Oh yeah.
Totally fine. But Chadley interrupting my gameplay to listen to him, I don't like that.
Yeah. Even if you could run around while he was talking to you.
You can do that more in different parts of like in other parts. You can do it. You can do it a little bit here.
Nutshot.
But what I'm saying,
I'm gonna hit you in the nuts right now.
Not a permanent thing. Not a permanent thing.
All
right, so
I feel really good at scanning these deity altars, and I'm afraid that someone's going to tell me that everyone has an easy time with it, because I feel like, yeah, I'm really great at this mini game of like syncing up the buttons.
Not gonna lie, on a couple of these, I had to, not here in the grasslands, but I had to take a picture of it with my phone and be like, all right, squares at like 4 o'clock, this one's at 6 o'clock, this one's at 9 o'clock, so that I could remember what buttons to press. Because then you get a little more complicated.
My secret is to do it not visually, but in timing, like a song. Because
I did that a couple
you
times
can count
too.
And be like 1, 2, square, triangle, 1, 2, circle, circle, 1, 2, square.
So at this point, we can move on through the marshes, but there's just some side quests to take care of first. So similar to the first game, actually exactly like the first game, only it's a little bit different. In this game, you can interact with notice boards that are in the cities that will tell you what side quests are available in that city. And so in this one, there are, I think, 5 different side quests in this region. So the first one is Flowers on the Hill. This one is for Chloe, who is Chocobilly's younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells you that even though that Billy doesn't like to acknowledge their parents or the fact that they're dead, she wants to remember her mom in a loving way. And she says that her mom used to make them these really pretty flower-like head dresses.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, hey, if you go to this hill where there are wildflowers, you can pick some and help me make one. And then maybe it will help Billy become more comfortable with our parents' memory. So you can go do that.
Yeah, it's very much like the flower picking we did with Aerith in the first game. In fact, pretty much exactly like.
Mm-hmm. Did your headdress come out like the picture?
Yeah, I guess so. I did find it a little frustrating. You get like a little drawing you can look at, but the flowers in the drawing weren't exactly like the flowers that you pick. Like I felt like the white ones had like a distinct yellow center, and the ones in the field were just white without the yellow center.
I agree. I picked like 2 of the wrong flowers.
Yeah, I also fucked this up, but it still just completed the mission, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, I love that there's no like fail state for this.
Did you like that?
She'll just accept whatever you give her.
What's the point of a mini game?
Oh, I like how forgiving it was because some of these directions are kind of archaic.
Yeah,
also, I ran to the bathroom, so I wanted to circle back and say, Vanessa, these mini games are easy as fuck, dude. Like, give me a fucking break.
Not all of them.
You're going to see later in the game, and I don't care if you punch me in the balls for saying it, that
tits. I'm going to punch you in the tits.
Oh, right. I forgot. It's going to be hard to sync. You'll see. You'll all see.
We'll see.
There's also
so far it's only been 4 buttons, right? Like dun 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 dun. Yeah. And I did wonder if that gets to be more, like 6 or 8.
For sure.
Do the live streams ever get harder? Because it's the easiest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Those are always the exact 3 buttons.
That is real weird.
There's no reason to even have that scanning there, because I don't think you can even fail it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, if you fuck it up, it just restarts you.
Yeah, I guess just to make it seem more interactive. There's Rare Lost Card, which is a great quest. You go to this bartender in Calm, and he starts crying about how he's horrible at Queen's Blood and lost his favorite card. And so we have to play a few rounds of Queen's Blood to get it back for him. I enjoyed that.
Which is great, because Queen's Blood is fucking delightful.
It is. I enjoy it a lot. I feel like it has, it has some, like, maybe even mobile possibilities. Like, pop that out on iOS, I'd play that.
How do you think it compares to Fort Condor from Yuffie's DLC?
I prefer it to Fort Condor. I would say that its closest equivalent is Gwent. It's very similar to Gwent from Witcher 3, which was also
I never
very
really
fun to
played
play.
that.
It's good.
People love Gwent.
Yeah, it got its own mobile game.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I mean,
I hope
Queen's Blood
that they
is,
do
it
the same
looks
for
great,
Queen's Blood,
and it
yeah.
is fun. Like, I really like it. I don't like that in the older Final Fantasies, you could play any NPC in the game. In this game, and in this, it feels like there are like 6 people you get to play against.
Yeah, but that's
and there's
right.
no reason to replay them. So
Have you ever, though, like walked down the street with your Magic the Gathering deck and just asked random people to play with you? They're not going to do it. You have to find...
No, and that's the guy who's like wearing the Yu-Gi-Oh rig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Are
hoping.
you ready?
Yeah. Wandering down the streets of Clearwater, someone approaches him to take a personality test, and he's like, how about you take a test of
Yeah.
cards?
I'll take your personality test if you can best me in.
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I'll hold your e-meters, but first. Oh man!
Yeah, that's
one of the things I love about this
100%
calm
something I've done.
bartender. One of the things I love about this calm bartender
he's really
Queen's Blood
calm?
mission. Well, when he talks to you, he's like, "I lost this card. Like, I really need to get it back. Can you do it for me?" One of the dialogue options is just go get it back yourself.
Yeah.
And if you say that, he'll be like, "No, I stuck shit at Queen's Blood." I love that.
I did
he hasn't
lose
figured
to
out
him,
the
like,
obvious. Go ahead.
I lost to him the first time because he's like, first you have
really?
to play me to see if you're good enough to get it back, and I lost him, and he's like, I'm never gonna get it back.
The beauty of Queen's Blood is if you feel like you're losing a match, you can hit start and then choose the restart option and
I
start
do that
back
a lot.
from. Yeah. I don't, but like, so I picked this game back up in the last few days to catch up with the podcast because I had played it when it came out, blah, blah, blah. And in the next region, I was playing against some twins, and they weren't
That's bunch of
good.
tough.
And I had to restart like 6 times. Like it took me, maybe not 6, but it took me a few tries to like remember the strategy of push forward and then they're fucked.
Yeah, I will say, well, like a lot of how you play and how your opponents play is based on your initial draw. I think that gets overlooked a lot in these Queen's Blood conversations where you draw like like 5 cards initially, and it's pretty random. You can choose to discard some of them, but your opponent does that too. And so a lot of the way that they play differs based on what their initial draw is. But I will say that I hit the restart a bunch of times on Queen's Blood opponents. When I know that I was going to lose, like there was no way I was going to win 2 out of the 3 lanes, I'd be like, restart. And then the next draw, if I got a better draw, I would win. And then if I didn't, I would restart it again. Did that a few times.
Yeah, you suck. What a loser.
It's true. So the next side quest that we do is called Lifeline in Peril. And we go talk to the Call Mayor, and he's like, hey, you're a mercenary. I also gave a job to this other mercenary to find some parts to fix our broken Mako pipeline. And you're like, wow, who could this other merc be? Let's go find out who they are. And oh my gosh, it's the worst character from Remake and Intergrade. It's Kyrie.
It's Roche?
No,
It's
Roche is one of
Johnny?
the best characters. This is one of the worst.
It's Beck's Badasses? Because
No,
there's a
that's one
lot
of
of
the best,
shitty
though.
characters that are going to come back in this game. So I'm having a tough time remembering which shitty character you're talking about.
It's Kyrie, who is the granddaughter of, I can't remember the name of the like Robin Hood-esque thief from the first one, but it's a granddaughter of that lady.
The ghost of your taint.
Ghost of it's the something of the Angel of the Slums.
Nah,
That's who it was.
that's what
Angel
it
of the
is.
Slums. Yeah. So Kyrie has branched out of Midgar and is now a mercenary for hire in the broader world. And you go find her, and she's like, "Hey, I could really
Merc.
use a hand being
not
a
a mercenary,
mercenary.
she's a merc.
being a merc. I could really use a hand being a merc. If you could help me find these parts and help fix the pipeline, that'd be super cool." So we got to follow her around, collect the scrap, and fix the pipeline.
I'm sorry to interrupt the show, but I just want Matt in particular to know that within the past hour, so while we were recording, Jim did share a post from the unofficial Michael Keaton Academy of Getting Nuts onto his Facebook wall.
Jim, you're supposed to be hosting this. Jim, you're supposed to be hosting this show.
Hey, it takes 2 clicks to share something on Facebook, guys.
It was important.
I think I did that while Matt was. I think I did that while Matt was threatening to abuse my testicles.
I see. You went to your safe space.
It
You're
sucks.
like, look at pictures of Michael Keaton.
It
Batman.
sucks that the next time I see you IRL, I'm gonna have to hit you right in the balls. And you don't think I'm being serious, so you clearly won't see it coming. It's gonna be a real bummer for you, and it's gonna be tough because clearly I'm gonna come to Nebraska, and because you're never coming to Tampa again, which why would you? And you're going to be like, I thought we were friends, and you just flew all this way to see me, and then you hit me right in the balls.
Actually, I would probably respect that a lot. If you flew all the way here just to hit me in the balls, I'd be like, God, I must be really special.
Well, you're a Midwest emo, so one of a kind.
That's true. I am Midwest emo.
I guess Jim
Hashtag embarrassing old guy.
Jim's so central now. Do we all have to go to Nebraska? I don't want to go to Nebraska.
It's true. You know what? That being said,
it looks fun.
I'm the most central. I'm the most central with the biggest house. Room for everybody. A bar at my house.
I can see it in the background. There's a T-Rex skull on it.
This is my basement. There's a bar, 2 couches down here, PS5, Xbox, in my basement.
It does sound pretty cool. Do you think
Do you have any houses for rent in your neighborhood?
What's that?
Do you have any houses for rent in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
I'm on my way. I live there now. I'm a Nebraskite.
There's a soccer bar down the street from me that Amanda and I have started going to. That one has great Mexican food and is one of the only bars I've found here that serves Mexican beer, which is my favorite.
That's because you're a Midwest emo. I would like to be done with this episode now.
Yeah. We got a couple more side quests to talk about.
We didn't really finish talking about Kiri. She sets up in a lighthouse or something.
Can we though?
Oh no, that's later.
Okay.
That's later. In this one, you find her in a warehouse. She's like, hey, if you help me finish this job, I'll split the take with you, which she does. And then she's like, okay, thanks, bye. And then she leaves.
There's no need for her though. She is very excessive.
She's totally extraneous. Yeah. Next one is Livestock's Bane. Which you go to the farm and you find that there's an animal that's been attacking the livestock at the Chocobo farm. Red 13 shows up and he's like, hey, I have a good nose. Maybe I can help you. Turns out that he can't. His nose
he sucks.
This is I love how insecure he is about his nose. He's really bummed that he can't really do it, which this game does give a lot of attention to Red 13's insecurity, which I think is a good dimension to his character. He's not because I felt like in the original he was kind of the native archetype a little bit, where he's like, I'm super connected to the planet. I'm an indigenous kind of whatever. But this one, it gives a lot more dimension to his character, which I like. So he's like, hey, I'll help you find the animals, but he's like, oh, I actually can't. This is kind of an introduction to the Chocobo scour mechanic.
Which is basically Chocobo hot and cold.
Hot and cold, yeah. It's Chocobo hot and cold.
I kind of love this mechanic, except sometimes, in fact, for me, maybe everybody else deals with this. Maybe it's just me. I just happen to be standing on the spot more often than not. And so I'll sniff and it'll be like, look the other way. And then I'll sniff that way, and it'll be like, look back the way you looked.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That
legitimately happened to me a dozen times. It was crazy.
You guys mentioned the rabbits that pop up in these regions. The rabbits are the most surefire indicator that there's something buried in the ground. So if you're on foot and you see rabbits, jump onto your chocobo because the rabbits have hidden something. So the rabbits are like the hiders of the regions. They'll hide really good crafting materials in the ground. So if you see them, jump onto your chocobo and find something.
I do want to say, I love the chocobos.
They look fantastic.
Well, it's such a yes, they do, but also like once you get them, you have it's we've seen this in a bunch of games. You can hit the button and it'll whistle and the chocobo will show up. But this game does a fantastic job with the chocobos. When you're on chocoback, you can, just as an example, you can open treasure chests without having to get off. You can kick open crates without needing to get off. And I've noticed that a lot of the times, if you are in an area, even if you're not on the chocobo, even if you haven't summoned it at all, if you're in an area where there's a chocobo-specific terrain feature, if you look around, the chocobo will be there. The game has bent over backwards to make chocobos accessible and easy and not like a chore to get on and off and use. It's fucking fantastic. This is the absolute best traversal mechanic that I've seen in a game. There's nothing like it. It's stellar. It's crazy.
That's very well integrated into the like overall traversal of the world.
Well, look at just to reiterate again, look at what we just played, Dragon Age Inquisition with the horse, which was a fucking joke. Not even the fact that it's slow though. Like if you got in a fight, it vanished. If you got off the horse to open a chest, it vanished. And listen, I love Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And while it did some of these things, it didn't do all of them. And this game really bends over backwards to make you want to make it easy for you to travel around on Chocobo without a bunch of fucking button presses. It's fucking fantastic. You can fast travel to places and it'll ask you, do you want to fast travel on Chocobo back? So that when you arrive, you're just on your Chocobo already. It's so fucking convenient. It's so good. It is the smartest fucking thing this game does. It's second to none. It's the best rideable mount I've ever seen in a game.
Also, one of the things I like about it is it feels like they built these environments to be Chocobo friendly. Like a lot of games when you're on a mount, you won't fit through a certain doorway or a certain arch. In this game, you can fit through pretty much everything on the overworld while you're on the Chocobo. You may not be able to interact with everything, but you can get to most places when you're on the Chocobo. That's not really true in a lot of these other games.
I feel like the world is very bumpy and like the Chocobo is constantly like hitting things and like slowing down, and that aggravated me.
That sucks.
But I will say
the run to walk is frustrating for the Chocobo.
Like just as an example, I found like a door, right? Like a door in a chain link fence. And I couldn't get the Chocobo through the door. And I was a little annoyed. I had to get off the Chocobo and open the door, and I had to walk through the door. I tried to get back on the Chocobo and walk through the door, and it didn't work. So I was a little annoyed. But I got off the Chocobo, I opened the door, I walked through the door, and then I looked around, and the Chocobo had followed me through the door. So even though I couldn't get through it on Chocobo back, it still followed me, which, just to clarify, basically means the game is smart enough to realize we're going to make you go through this door, but you're just going to call your Chocobo again. So let's cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
And here he is waiting for you. And I really was like, oh, fuck yes. Like, this game wants me on Chocoback, and I loved it. It's fantastic.
That feels like a bug in QA where they're like, oh no, this Chocobo won't fit through this door. We'll make him get off, and then Chocobo will just be there. We don't want to animate it,
but it still is higher quality of life than most games will afford you in this type of situation.
True.
Yeah, totally.
And also, I love that. I love Chocobo Slide. It's my favorite thing. They power slide like fucking Mario Karts. It's goddamn delightful. When there are craftable items on the ground, which are fucking everywhere, if you're on the Chocobo back and you pick it up,
up the whole bunch.
It picks up the whole bunch, which is something Dragon Quest XI did. When you were mounted as well, which I loved about Dragon Quest XI, but Dragon Quest XI didn't have the ease of use with the mounts that this thing has. This thing is fucking perfect.
One of the benefits of the quote-unquote new game plus in this game is that you can turn on automatic resource pickup.
Oh, really?
See, that's you don't have to hit triangle anymore. It just picks up everything that you get into a certain proximity of.
Why wouldn't they just have that available from the beginning?
I was wondering the same thing.
That's weird.
I was wondering the same thing. That is such a great accessibility feature.
Yeah, didn't Dragon Quest 11 do that as well? But I feel like it was like a skill or something.
I think it did. Yeah, I think it was an unlockable.
That game was fucking amazing.
So there's one more.
No, let's skip it.
Oh, okay. We're gonna skip. I don't know. It's kind of okay. We'll skip it.
What are we skipping? We're not that. We're only
there's
2 hours.
There's one more side. There's one more side quest called "Where the Wind Blows," where you talk to Bowden, and he's like, "Hey, there's someone in the overworld who's trying to repair these windmills. Go and help her out. You can only help her once you find the right transmuter chip to craft the item that she wants, and also find the right items. Finding the right items involves killing the super hard fiend in this area, which is a bird called Quetzalcoatl. You fight it.
You find it, get the item after you've scanned a certain number of shrines or life springs, right?
A certain number of life springs, yeah. So it's a little bit different. You would expect doing the combat challenges to unlock the hard fiend in the area. It's really not that way. If you scan a certain number of life springs, it unlocks the fiend for some reason. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's the way the game works. So you kill the fiend, craft the thing, repair the windmill. This lady, I guess, is related to Bowden. They were part of Bowden became part of the Shinra resistance, I guess. These are old Republic windmills. It's all just kind of scene dressing. You don't really need to know a lot about what's going on here. But it is the first time you can craft through the item transmuter a key item. So keep that in mind, that there are key items that you have to craft in the transmuter that require some special ingredients. So that's a thing that the game is introducing here.
My hot transmuter tip is to craft those first if they're available before you go crafting a whole bunch of other stuff. Because I actually had to reload because I crafted up too much of my tertiary ingredients on random stuff.
In my playthrough, I found that I didn't need to craft a lot, but I would go into the crafting menu to get crafting experience.
Yeah,
a lot.
Exactly.
So as you level up and as you move to new areas, you can unlock different craftable items. The new craftable items will net you a lot of experience the first time you craft them. So I would go in and be like, is there a first time craft here that I can get a lot of experience from? Especially because some key items require you to be at a certain crafting level. So you have to get to that level eventually. The only way you can do it is by crafting different stuff. So just keep that in mind. It's something to check in on periodically, at least. So we decide to finally move on from the grasslands. We get on our chocobos, we move through the marsh, and I feel like there's not really a lot to the marsh. This feels like a kind of a segue area. Mm-hmm. You get your first weapon box here at the dock, which I think is a weapon for Cloud. But otherwise, not a ton here. There's a few different branching areas you can get to with some items, but not a lot. Eventually, you make your way through and you think you're drifting towards an island, but OMG, It's a big old snake.
Sneaky snake. And in the first game, is the snake just already dead when we get there?
No. In the first game, if you try to traverse here without a chocobo, it's like you see a snake shadow under the marsh that will follow you, and if you try to fight it, it's gonna probably kill you.
Oh, right,
and even if you beat it, it just respawns, so you have to fight it again. So this is where you have to get a chocobo to cross. In this one, in the first game, it's called the Midgar Zalem, which I don't know the meaning behind that word. In this one, it's called the Midgar Stormer, which is kind of like one of your first tastes of all the Norse mythology references in this game. There's a shitload.
So we're
It's a lot.
fighting the snake. We're about to beat it. And then it yoinks Cloud under the water, who I guess just basically is drowning. But then Sephiroth appears in the water. And
Yeah,
Sexy
somehow
Roth.
Sephiroth is returned.
yeah, somehow he returns and he's just like, "What's up?" He waves at you in the water. He yeets the snake out of the water and impales it on a tree. Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
And then Cloud wakes up and he's like, "Sephiroth?" And Tifa and Aerith are just like, no. And then he looks at the snake and he's like, "He's so powerful." And they, I think, did not see Sephiroth at all, so.
No, nobody did.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk more about that because Sephiroth he's not really a presence. I mean, he was a physical presence in the flashback, kind of indirectly, but he's not really a thing in this first part of the game. Like, he's talked about, he's whispered about, he kind of maybe shows up here, but at the same time, you're like, is that really something that was true?
Well, and they just, right before this, as you're traversing the swamp, you see one of the, I don't remember what they're called, the guys in the robes.
The reunion guys.
Black robes.
Yeah.
Black robes. Yeah.
When Cloud sees him, he's like, "There's Sephiroth!" And then we approach him, and it's not. It's just a reunion guy. And all of the characters kind of like side-eye each other like, what the fuck is going on with this dude? That's not Sephiroth.
Cloud is constantly mistaking these guys for Sephiroth.
Well, do you know why?
Yeah.
Because he's horny
Why?
for Sephiroth?
Because I played the first game. That's how I know why.
Oh, you don't actually want to say? Can we say it? Is it that's not a spoiler to say it, right?
I don't know. I think it might be.
Okay, we'll leave it. So yeah, Cloud is very interested in what these black robe guys are doing, and the assumption is, and it's kind of called into question a little bit at the end of this chunker, I think, like, why are we following these guys?
Just cause.
And and Cloud's like, these guys are going to Sephiroth, and I think it's Barrett's like, are you sure?
Yeah,
like,
but
I'm pretty sure.
we know that Cloud's right, though, right?
Well, we know from the original game that these guys are, I'm just going to say it, that these guys are experiments that were injected with Genova cells. And so these guys all have a little bit of Genova in them. They're in the original game, not necessarily in this one, but in the original game, they were all injected with Genova cells. They were all injected with Genova, and they were looking for the reunion, which was all of the Genova pieces coming back together to be a whole Genova again. In this one, they don't say a reunion. They're just like kind of pointing towards a general place, which is kind of where it's leading us to go. So I feel like that's worth noting.
Yeah. So where they're heading is straight into a mine.
Straight into a mithril mine.
And we get what Jim has called a hilarious scene. I call a tragic scene.
Yeah, so we're following, I think it's like 3 of these robe guys into the mine. They're walking along this kind of precarious pathway, and one of them falls down. which I thought was really funny. Vanessa thinks it's tragic, but I thought it was funny looking at this weird guy fall down to his
it's
death.
very clearly meant to be tragic, but yeah, you do you, baby. You laugh at death.
I watch a lot of horror movies, I guess. So we see this guy fall down.
Yep.
Red 13 and Barrett. Well, Cloud is very dismissive. He's just like, okay, we're gonna move on. And Barrett's like, we should probably check on that guy, right?
Yeah.
And Cloud's like, nah, it's fine. And Barrett's like, we're gonna go check on that guy. I'm gonna take a Red with me. We're gonna check on that guy. This is the first time you get a like a party pair off, like the party separates.
Mm-hmm.
The first game did this a bunch, so it's not shocking that this game doesn't.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting the choices this game makes in who to separate from the main party, because Red 13 and Barrett were one of the classic like combos in the original, I think. Like there were like when I was making my parties in the original, there were certain characters you just wanted to pair together. And Red 13 and Barrett were one of them, and they actually put a lot of work in the Red 13 Barrett dynamic in this game, which I really appreciate. There's a lot of dialogue that's specific to them.
Rooted in misogyny at all.
Is it? I feel like it's mostly like, let's give these characters a little showcase.
Party.
I feel like it gives them a little like character showcase. And I appreciated that.
Sure, here.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. All right, so we have to make our way through the mine. There's a lot of minecart pushing here. There's a lot of like video gamey stuff in this dungeon.
It's a video game.
Moving around minecarts. Moving around minecarts.
Oh yeah,
moving around minecarts, switching tracks,
having Barrett shoot every crystal that exists in his vicinity. Like he has a hard on for breaking crystals. I don't think you even get anything from it. Sometimes it opens a path.
Unlockables.
Sometimes
like
it opens a path,
of the time.
but otherwise he just loves shooting crystals.
We've talked about, I guess not in this series, but in the last game, like his gun is definitely powered by like blood bullets, right? Because we never see him loading that thing.
Yeah, it's true. It's his cum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his cum. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's full of his cum. So we make our way through. Eventually, we run into the Turks. And one of the things I was upset about in the early part of this game, through all the game, no Reno. Where the fuck is Reno? Reno's one of the coolest characters in the Final Fantasy series. He's not here. Not that I don't like Elena.
He's
Elena's
on vacation,
fun.
Jim. Why don't you fucking calm down?
Yeah, by the way, he's on vacation. He went back to his home planet. Yeah. He's on vacation.
Didn't he sort of like get the hots for Aerith in the last game, or was it Tifa? One of them.
Reno was the one that had the hard on for Aerith.
No, that was Rude. Rude loves
that's
Aerith.
Right, Rude.
Yeah, Rude loves. In fact, it was present in Remake. I don't know if you guys remember, but if you play as Tifa and try to fight Rude, he won't counter you. He won't attack you back. And there's some similar mechanics in this game too. But Rude loves Tifa. But you run into Rude and Elena, and they're trying to make their way through the mines as well, but you have to fight them.
Woke bullshit. Who's Elena?
I love Elena from the first game.
They erased Reno's slot in this game so they could jam in some SJW woman.
I love these fights with the Turks. I love these fights with any humanoid character. Kind of the same way in Bloodborne when you fight other hunters. Like, it just changes the gameplay up in a way that I find really interesting. And one, I love the way these characters are animated. Like, they do such cool martial arts shit. It feels like watching a John Wick movie a little bit, especially in the cutscenes where you're watching them block and counter. I love all that stuff. So I really enjoyed these turd fights.
Yeah, it's
well,
a
we
fight.
beat them, but then Sang shows up at the very end. I guess he's the one
Song.
who likes Aerith.
Song is
Oh,
very
I'm sorry.
protective of Aerith because he's been watching her since she was a little girl.
Yeah, and he's like, I guess he shoots the black robe guy. That's what they're there to do, is like kill the black
He
robe
does.
people.
Mm-hmm.
And then he seems content to like just kind of take off, but then I think Elena throws a grenade and blows up the floor or something like that.
Yeah, and then you fall through. And this is where you get to take direct control of Barrett and shoot all the crystals and rocks and stuff. This was one of the more annoying dungeons in the game to me. Because it was a lot of like pushing stuff around. It was kind of boring.
Yeah.
I thought. It's mostly just environmental puzzle, really boring environmental puzzling. So you have to one, build a bridge so that the rest of the party can get to where you are, and at the same time open up pathways for you to meet them. And so you eventually do that after moving some carts around and changing some tracks. Eventually, when you build the bridge, Aerith is able to open up a door for you to meet them. But on the way, you get a little boss fight, which is the what is it? The mithril golem.
I honestly
This is an
don't
easy
remember
boss fight, I
anything
thought.
about this boss fight.
Yeah, it's very quick, very easy. Mithril golem, big stone guy, fight him, beat him. Then you meet up with the rest of the party. Cloud says he's really pissed off about meeting the Turks here because it means they know where they're at. But Barrett's like, Shinra doesn't really matter anymore. We know the planet is dying. We have a duty to continue. Especially, this is actually, I thought, really interesting, where Barrett references the vision that you got in Shinra headquarters in Remake. Where he's like, we saw the world end. Like, we have a duty to continue going forward.
Right.
Which I thought was like really good plot momentum after the introduction to the open world and this like kind of weird ancillary dungeon. So it was nice to get a little pep talk there. Now we're on to Junon.
So exciting. All right, and that's it for this time. What are we doing next time, Jim?
Yeah, that's it for this chunker. Next chunker, we are just going to do Junon. And so it seems like a short chunker, but we're talking about the whole Junon region and the whole metric ton of plot developments that happen in Junon the city.
That's lower
So
and
there's-
upper Junon.
Lower and upper Junon. There's a lot that happens there. So we'll get through that on the next chunker. In the meantime, what are you guys squarely against, Matt?
Okay, I already, this is pretty par for the course for Matthew to bring up something in the squarely against again that I've already complained about, but I'm squarely against the slowdown. I feel like this game is padding its length, and I don't mean the side quests or the Chadley stuff. I mean the little interstitial stuff, like the fact that Chadley has to fucking talk to you every time you do anything, or the fact that the game constantly wants to force you to slow down. The first game had this problem as well. It's frustrating. It makes the game frustrating to play, which is difficult because otherwise, I'm having a good time. I'm zipping through things. I'm playing the game, and it just constantly wants to stop me and make me listen to Chadley and make me listen to some terrible jokes. Oh, and we didn't really talk about it. We talked about the Proto-Relic quest, and we mentioned Beck's badasses. But that whole thing in this chunker is awful. It's bad. It is cringy, shitty humor that I didn't enjoy. And it's like 4 parts, and I really hated the shit out of it. Luckily, next week, the Proto-Relic Quest is the best thing that's happened in this game. So, Jim, what are you squarely against?
I will say I am roundly for the proto-relic stuff. I think the game does a good job of making each proto-relic
Again, we're
quest
talking
a
about
little bit
this
different.
chunker and not your experience with
I
the
know.
entire fucking game.
In this chunker, I appreciated the proto-relic quest because I think Beck's badasses are funny. I do. It's also kind of outside of the chocobo wrangling thing. One of the few instances where you have to do stealth in this game, where you're sneaking into one of Beck's badass's little warehouses. It's fun. Like, the game offers a lot of these fun little diversions that switch up the gameplay. And I think it's amusing. It's not necessary, obviously, but I think it's fun, and it switches things up in a way that, like, keeps me engaged, and I appreciate that. Vanessa, what are you squarely against?
Queen's Blood. I have an email to read this week.
Oh, yeah, we have an email.
This email is from Tyler Petty, a Square Root superfan.
And this is your squarely against?
No, I'm done with my squarely against. I'm roundly for.
Vanessa
Queen's
doesn't
Blood.
like Queen's Blood.
I like Queen's Blood.
Oh, roundly for?
Yeah.
Or squarely against?
We can't understand you because you just said Queen's Blood.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey there, Vanessa and the boys. How do you feel about the way Sephiroth's sassy little brother, Jephiroth, was integrated into Rebirth? Since his only other appearance was in the Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep DLC, The Sleepy Town Nightmare, they didn't have a lot to go on. But having Genova lose him at the Golden Saucer and then get adopted by the Chocobos in the minigame was a fun way to explain why he only speaks in trills and chirps. I'm still not sure what making him the inheritor of the life stream really means, but I'm sure it will pay off in the final game. Thanks for all the hours I've spent with you up until my ears. Thanks for all the hours I've spent with you all up in my ears, Tyler.
I tried to read this email when it first came across after I had taken a couple gummies, and I was like, this email is twisting me up. Like, I followed it for the first second, and then it had a thing where I understood, and then it went one way, and I just ended up feeling like I was tied in a knot by the end of it. Hearing you read it did not help at all. I don't know what this email means, or what it's trying to communicate, or what it's trying to get me to remember, but I appreciate it. It's nice to have an email.
Matt, any thoughts?
Cool story about how you were too high to understand the English language. Here's my thought. Fart noise. Jim, I also didn't understand anything. It just happened.
I think maybe it's.
Vanessa, what do you make of it?
Well, is it Game of Thrones?
No, is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
No, is it?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's it for emails this week.
Can't wait till this game reveals that Tifa and Aerith are sisters and have been banging this whole time.
Gross.
Is that a welcome development? That's not a level up. Okay, well, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. Like I said last time, we're going to finish Chapter 4. A lot to do in Junin. But before we go, I will let our listeners know that we do have a Patreon. It's at patreon.com/SquareRootsPodcast. On that Patreon, we have tons of bonus content. This podcast has been going for a long time. And we do bonus content every month, and there's a great backlog of it. This month, we're going to have a discussion of the new free-to-play Silent Hill game, Silent Hill: The Short Message, which I would encourage all of our listeners with a PS5 to play, because I think it's very good. You can get access to all that content at the $3 subscription tier. At the $5 tier, you get access to all that content, plus the ability to vote on games that we play on the show. We'll have another vote that will be live towards the end of our Final Fantasy Rebirth series, so stay tuned for that. Another benefit of being a patron, no matter what tier you subscribe to, we like to personally thank some of our patrons on the air. I'm going to kick us off this week by thanking Samu Mitchell, Eric Garby, Chad Wilson. It makes me uncomfortable to hear my name read on a podcast. Gage Lacharite, Vanessa's mom, Rubber Bear, Seth G, RP Siege, and Orcus the Great.
And I will thank Dragon Quest 3 or 4 in 2024, Joshua W. Roxon, Anthony Cruz, Mostly Rational Person, Aaron Nerd Violence Little, Julie, Jaybird, for Square Roots Podcast, I'm Stim Stanks, I'm Huxley Iguana, Worked Muffin.
And I'd like to thank Jason Timms. Seattle Sounders will host Club World Cup in 2025. Feels like a lie. Andy Smith, Do Good Recklessly, Wedge Coon, Sean Gonzalez, Daniel Wood, Matt, insert clever name here, Jorgensen, and Justin Ham.
All right, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. If you'd like to email us, you can email us squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group for smart, cool, very attractive people, or find us on Blue Sky at squarerootspod.bsky.social. Please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Ghana, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks to Stephen Morris for our Square Roots themes. You can find Stephen on Twitter as Beige on Beige, and on YouTube, links in the show notes. Also on Blue Sky, link in the show notes as well. All right, for Square Roots, I am Jim Banks.
I'm Vanesti.
I'm wondering if we're ever going to explain why you all started calling me Vanasti on the show, but it's too late this time. Goodbye!
Goodbye!
Bye!
I did it!
One thing that I like about these areas is that for 99% of them, you can do all the things on the map and then move on to the next place. Or you can do like none of the things on the map and then move on to the next place. There's no requirement for what you can do, which I think gives a player a lot of agency. I will say that doing all of them in every region made me feel like I was pretty over-leveled going into the story things, which is not a bad thing.
I don't think it levels you very much.
It does in the later parts.
I also tend to like
talking
fight
about
every
the fucking
mob
later
I come
parts.
across.
You know what? I'm sending
I don't
you a
want to
contract.
talk about open world shit every episode.
I want to send you a contract right now that says that you will never play the whole fucking game before we finish the series again, because it's obnoxious to sit here and have this conversation that is inevitably the same conversation, which is, well, we'll see what happens later on in the game, where things that happen that you don't know about happen, but I know about because I played the whole fucking game ahead of time.
Yeah. Jim, let me handle this. Matt, I've heard your offer. What kind of consideration are you offering Jim in exchange for his contractual agreement?
I will not punch him in the balls.
I feel like that would be a contract under threat, and I can't advise Jim to sign off on that.
But what if I punch him in the balls if he doesn't sign it?
I also feel like I wanted to be a disinterested third party, but I think it would be kind of funny if you punched Jim in the balls. So now let
me sweeten the pot. I'm going to punch you in the tits if you don't agree.
You could never.
I could. I would.
You probably could. They're a pretty big target. So Sometimes I punch myself in the tits by accident because I just forget
Sometimes
to do that.
your microphone punches you in the tits, and I have to
It
clean it
does.
up when I edit.
I know.
Oh, is that what happens when
It's the
she bumps
hardest
the
part of
microphone?
recording. Yeah.
Vanessa gets has a Tifa moments where she's
Yeah, it's
where
just my massive Tifa
where her
rack
bust is
being
getting
like,
in the way. Yeah.
boom.
All right, Matt. I'll stop alluding to other things in the game. I promise.
Jim, I want you to know 2 things right now. Number 1 is that I love you and I accept you, despite your flaws. And number 2 is that no, you fucking won't. You liar. You fucking liar.
I didn't say I won't. I said I'll try not to.
Yeah, Jim has already
it's
reneged
fine. I'm going to
on,
nut tap you every time. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You might want to
already
switch
reneged
seats
on,
with
like,
Vanessa
2
so
of my
that you're not
contracts.
sitting next to me in the
Wait, what
Square
have I
Roots
reneged
house.
on?
You've reneged on watching Taskmaster, which
Yeah,
you've
you never
promised
watched
to do
Taskmaster.
multiple times.
Which you promised
The
to do
new
multiple
season
times.
just started.
Didn't start yet.
And
Start tonight.
you're going to owe me $2 when Vampire the Masquerade 2 comes out, and you keep saying that you're not going to pay it to me.
It's $5.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I won't have to pay it because
How do you not remember the amount of dollars he owes you? It's definitely $5.
It's
okay.
It's $10.
Oh, you're right.
It's $10. It's not 2. It's not 5. It's 10.
Ooh,
2
it's
times
Amanda.
5.
Yeah.
Hey.
There's Amanda. She's my witness.
Did she have a nightmare? Is that why she came downstairs?
Oh, Matt wants to know if you had a nightmare and you were screaming.
Oh my gosh. So embarrassing. Yes, it was terrible. So bad.
Amanda's been gone all day. She got a massage after work, so I haven't seen her since she left this morning.
Nice. Amanda
Oh, well,
is my ankle spiration, and it's a delight to see her walking
Vanessa
around.
said you're the ankle spiration. It's a delight to see you walking around. I agree.
Yeah. You'll get there. I promise. I'm
Thank
rooting
you.
for you.
I'm not on camera because I'm hiding my horrible state. You could tell her that, Jim.
Yeah, she said she's not on camera because she's bedridden.
Oh,
She looks like the lady from Pet Cemetery who had meningitis, the monster lady.
She looks like one of the ghosts from House of
Do
Usher.
you want me to flick him?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
in the balls.
Amanda, could you hit him in the balls for me? Jim, say
We
that
just
to
had a whole
her.
conversation where Matt threatened to punch me in the balls a few times.
That's not what I told you to say to her.
Yeah. Do it later, but it'll be under a different context. I'll ask you to do it later. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Ugh, you're both so gay.
Oh, you're just.
It's the gayest thing I've ever seen, bro.
It is.
Okay.
He's like
All right, so-
he's being attracted to women gay now.
Is loving your partner gay?
It's totally cooked.